Good evening, and welcome to another exciting show. And tonight, our guest is Ben Emlyn-Jones, author, broadcaster, and also you run PAMWO, Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. Yeah. Is there anything else you do? I've left off.
God! Well, I'm such a multimedia sort of person. I do so much. Yeah, but there's loads of I do so much things. I mean, there's my blog, the various blogs, and then there's the Panama TV, my videos, and there's the Panama show, my radio shows, and and then of course Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, available all good books now, £10, and it's 2 sequels.
Have you got a copy to show people? So
Oh, I just did. There we go. There we are.
Your screen's frozen. Your screen's frozen again. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Actually, I'll find swearing at it helps.
Yeah, I did it just then, and I could see myself doing it, but no one else could. So how's that?
Yes.
Am I back?
Yeah, it's still frozen. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, well, I don't know.
Yes.
We'll
imagine it. Yeah, I think we'll see what we do. See what that happens. Let's pull it out. As they say, pull it out and shove it back in again. And we're not talking about the Epstein files yet, are we? I think that's what's in these files, isn't it? Pull it out and shove it back in again.
Camera's on again. Done it again, yeah.
No, still frozen. Right. Out again, shove it in again. In, out, we shake it all about. We do the okey cokey, and it's all about bleeding things. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, anyway, I can see myself.
That's right. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think computers have got a mind of their own. But Alice Gorgeous is the first in chat. And well, you are being back actually, but as you are the guest. And Alice Gorgeous, what MP or celebrity of choice would you like a 2-finger salute for? So there we go. We can give a 2-finger salute to a celebrity or a politician of your choice. So there we go. And we got Matilda. Good evening, Matilda. We got Blu-ray. We got cultural attaché, Asperger's as Fudge. Beautiful name that is. Who else we got? We got a lot in chat tonight. We got Glenn Miller. Respect to Ben. We go back to the Kev Baker show.
Oh, hello, Glenn.
That's Hatchie.
Oh, Hatchie. Hi, Hatchie. I know Hatchie, yeah.
Screen is fine. So
all right. Some people saying that I'm not frozen otherwise. So, Nathan's. It's Nathan there. Hi, Nathan. Yeah, there's my book. Yeah, I mean, you guys can see it. So even if Chris can't, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yes. Well, never mind. As long as it's working. What is tonight's presentation about? Ben, over to you. Yes, I'll put the turd in your pocket.
What's tonight's presentation about? Well, I can talk. I'm very much a jack of all trades. Is DJ B2's there as well? Hi, DJ. And Nathan. Hello, Nathan. How are you doing?
Thanks, Mark, mate. Thanks. Yeah.
That's basically we would be talking off air about the fact that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you prefer the term conspiracy factist, right? And I suppose that's more accurate now to say we're conspiracy factists because. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm fed up of being proven right. I'm fed up of saying "told you so," and I've said it so many times, and I've been proved right so many times. And so we all have, haven't we? We said a long time ago things like, that the rich and famous and powerful people in this world were being controlled by a network of vice and blackmail, and they said, "Don't be silly, it's not true." Well, what's been happening? We also said that aliens, we're being visited by non-human intelligences from other worlds. No, don't be silly. That's just tinfoil hat rubbish. Well, they're literally they're literally admitting it now. It's true. We said that the government were trying to build more and more authoritarianism. They were going to destroy free speech and bring in international superstates, from which there was going to be no freedom or democracy. And what do we say? Oh, don't be silly. That's rubbish. That's horrible. That's that silly Orwellian nonsense. Well, it's happening, guys. It's all true. And we said it were true. We said it years ago. And do you know what? There are some people who are like coming. I mean, there's some people who like. We mentioned Candace Owens and Simon Holland before we went on air.
Yeah.
There are many, many other people like who. Well, Simon was a complete skeptic, and Candace was.
He was established.
Conventional
Establishment,
politics,
wasn't
he? Yeah. In fact, Simon Holland was a TV. There's a very good espionage drama from the 70s called Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And he worked on that. He's in the credits for it. He worked for the BBC.
Right, he's an editor.
Yeah, exactly. And Candace Owens was she did politics. She was kind of quite sort of like centre-right politics and things like that. There's many, many others. Now, Simon in particular is kind of like he's changed from a skeptic into a believer. And he's doing it the way many people do it. They don't sort of say, okay, they don't come to us and apologise and things like that. They just say, oh, yeah, I always said that, didn't I? I was right all along, wasn't I? See?
Well, that's right. Oh, by the way, Nathan Lucius has come out. He said conspiracy researchers.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's a far better one. That's better than my one.
Anymore. And you know,
no, it's a researcher.
Yeah. And there's David Icke now. And now George Galloway. We mentioned George Galloway.
That's right.
Yeah. So, because you said something I didn't know about George Galloway, and I've discovered something else about him. But you go first, Chris.
Well, thanks, mate. Now, what happened is, I guess people know that George Galloway and his family came back from Moscow, and the armed police at the airport apprehended his wife and family, and really frightened them. They really put the wind up them quite a bit, to such a point that George Galloway, as him and his family, are out of this country and they're not coming back. And the reason why, he said, allegedly, and I apologise to George Galloway if I've misheard him or anything like that, but as far as I know, that he's not coming back to this country because he knows what happened to Dr. Kelly and other people, and he's fearful for his life. And then he mentioned today, if you go onto his YouTube show, the mother of all chat shows or whatever, that the Epstein files have released that Bojo, Ghislaine and Epstein did a threesome in number 10. And when he said that, yeah, it really put me up his sausages, it did, you know.
What a horrible thought, yeah. What a horrible thought, yes. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's just now. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell she comes from Oxford. I never met her myself, but my dad did.
Really?
Yeah, she's from Oxford, and she's always been people have reported has been very sort of like dark and very aloof and things like that, very stuck up. The thing about, I'll go back to George Galloway, of course, because he's been in Russia a lot. He was on the Sputnik show several times. He used to present that show for RT. He's done a lot of work for RT, which is banned in this country. Right. You can't watch it. You can watch it, but you've got to. Like, you can watch it on an alternative platform.
VPN.
Yeah.
You can actually. I've actually got it live on VPN. Yeah.
YouTube. Their YouTube channel's banned and they've been taken off TV. But George Galloway was, funny enough. David Icke has tweeted something that is very interesting, and it's this idea about people quietly change their minds and then don't admit it. I like that. Jojo says, "Spoiler alert!" They are spoiler alerts. You know the old joke. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and fact? About 6 months.
That's a good one. Oh, by the way, Blu-ray has said George Galloway has spoken out about Palestine. I applaud him. Yes,
he's always been very critical of the Israeli regime and its foreign policy.
Well, I think he was married to a Palestinian at one time. I think so. But as I said, I don't agree with all what he says. I'm not a full supporter of him. I don't really like politicians, full stop. But
I don't like. I mean, I feel sorry for everyone who's suffering in that conflict. But I don't really take a side in it. But I feel sorry for everyone who's suffering in that conflict.
I'm the same. I take the side of the victim. Yeah, the innocent victim. That's the side.
Everyone who's been bombed. Everyone's been kidnapped and things like that. Everyone. But him like George Galloway, I met him once actually. He was in Oxford.
Really?
Once. He was at the Oxford Union. I met him briefly, just said hello to him. But there's the David Icke posted this little clip where someone calls into his chat show and says, I enjoyed the show you did with David Icke, and he made a mistake and thought that Galloway had David Icke on. And George Galloway says, "Let me stop you right there." He says, "Let me stop you right there. I think I should explain to you that I have never had David Icke on my show, and I never would. I think you've got to realise about David Icke. He is mentally ill. He's mentally ill, and I do not entertain silly ideas about the Queen being a lizard and that they eat human flesh and that they are cannibals. And he goes on like this. Well, David posted that clip, and he said underneath he posted another clip where Galloway is then now saying that it's all true. So Galloway is not he's not actually mentioned David Icke, but he is saying all this stuff is actually now true. And I tweeted underneath, and I said, "Is George going to apologise to you, David? Because I think he should, shouldn't he?"
I think he should.
Yeah,
and
but they
I
don't.
actually noticed that Galloway's coming round a lot.
Yeah.
To where he used to be. He used to be very establishment, and he's changed. But by the way, Alice... Sorry, carry on, mate.
I was just going to say, I think we just have to be satisfied with the fact that people, so many people are now changing their minds. I mean, it's easy to remind them and say, when they say, "Oh, yes, I know, these things are all real." Well, I always said it. I always said it from the start, didn't I? And my answer, of course, would be, well, no, you didn't. We've got you on record saying many, many times it was stupid and calling me crazy. And but no, I think I just got to be satisfied with the fact that they're now. Well, they've changed their minds. They're now telling the truth. They've accepted it's real, and I'm happy with that. I'm not going to, unless I'm in a particularly sadistic mood, I'm not going to remind them. I'm just going to say, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Well, it's spot on. I mean, Alice Gorgeous wants me to do a 2-finger salute to Boris for putting me and my family under an unlawful house arrest, and I think that applies to all of us. So,
I'll join you with
Boris.
That, yeah.
Johnson. So there we go. And to his threesome. To that,
God knows. But one thing I say about Boris Johnson, I mean, I actually did like him and supported him for a while when he first started out, and then he got Brexit done and stuff like that. And then what did he do? He just merged seamlessly back into the establishment. He started, Bill and Melinda Gates came and poured poison in his ear, and he just swallowed it up.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and he was literally just parroting the establishment line on everything after that. And then, of course,
then they
got rid of him. Then they got rid of him because he lacked the maturity, and he lacked the sensibility, maturity, and intelligence, quite frankly, not to abuse his own position. And so he had these wild parties. I mean, God knows. I'm not talking about the one with Epstein and Maxwell. I mean, I'm talking about the silly one in the basement where he's dancing around with people. And when we were all sitting in our homes, you're basically singing Christmas carols with our families on Zoom. He was bopping away in the basement with all the others, things like that.
Disgusting, man. Mind you, yeah.
And of course, they all did it. I mean, do you think that Keir Starmer, he sung Christmas carols on Scoop? Do you think he kissed his? Yeah. Do you think that Joe Biden kissed his grandchildren through a pane of glass? Of course not. They all break their own rules. They all do.
In on it, basically, when you look at, sorry, I didn't mean to talk across you there, but I was going to say, when you think about Keir Starmer as a member of the, what is it now, the same as what World Economic Forum, and the World Economic Forum wants to cut the population.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're not working on our behalf. And Nathan has said, "I hold you up, Ben, as one of the best researchers in our movement. Thank you for all you do. Anita, Sproglet, and Holly, bitch, say hi."
Hi, thank you very much, Nate. That's much appreciated. It's great. I met you, and it was really great. I met you all at Mark Devlin's birthday. Do you remember it? I met all of you there, and it's really great to see you. Thanks, Nathan.
But now Jojo Gizmo says Galloway is a twat. He led an Antifa counter-protest against us in Newcastle when Pegida held a demo about Muslim rape gangs in Newcastle. Yeah. Well, as I say, a politician.
I don't agree with everything he says or does. I'm not.
No.
I don't. I mean, I think if he was sensible, he would actually work to help expose these so-called grooming gangs and things like that. Because I mean, essentially, the whole. I think the government was so angry with us because of everything that happened in 2016. They decided to wreak revenge on us, and that's what the Boris wave of immigration was for. And that is what the you-know-what lockdown was for. And we're on Rumble now, I can say it, can't I? COVID. That's what it was
We're
for.
also on YouTube. You can say
Oh,
it on YouTube because you get away
well,
with it. So don't worry about it.
sorry,
So don't worry about it.
I
I mean,
mentioned it once,
I've said it
but I think I got away.
loads of times, and I've got away with it. I think they've loosened it a little bit more now.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, last night I said I was going to do a poll on my Telegram channel, and link is below here, where you can go to my Telegram channel, and of people that you may not necessarily agree with, but have got the guts and the balls to stand up against the crowd and say say honestly what they believe in. And every year I give a kind of verbal award to people, and it was Survival Steve that got it last year, and the year before it was Monica Schaefer that got it, and her brother. And this year there are now, we're still got here. What is it? We got. These are the people who are up for it this year. Father Maudsley. And if you don't know who Father Maudsley is, go on to Rumble. You soon find out. Larkin Rose. Michael Jones. They've got to be alive, these people. Dr. Myhill, who I interviewed on this show. And Candice Owens. Now, if there's any more, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put these polls out, and we're going to talk about it next Sunday. Okay? The winner of this year, who is a hero, basically. So there we go. So if you've got any ideas, Ben, of anybody, they've got to be alive, because
I only recognise three of those names. I don't know all of them. But as far
Father
as
Maudsley, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over there, but
okay.
Father Maudsley talks about, he's a Catholic priest who is very similar to, what was his name now? There was another one. He talks about events in World War II that we're not allowed to talk about, or question, shall we say. Larkin Rose has written books about how he believes we do not need government. We can actually survive. Okay. Michael Jones, he goes against the grain, and he writes a lot of honest stuff. And of course, Dr. Myhill was actually she's a doctor who was prescribing healthy vitamin tablets to her patients, and she got into big trouble for that. And Candice Owens, well, we all know about. So there we go.
No, that's great. I mean, I don't know which one would deserve it. I mean, Candice Owens is the one I'm most familiar with, and she's definitely she definitely deserves something, because Candice Owens is actually, well, I first started following her because she was more kind of very mainstream political figure, I would say. She was part of the Turning Point with Charlie Kirk, who was shot, sadly, and several other people. I suppose what the Americans would call conservative. In the American sense, the definition is slightly different in America to what it is in Britain, but she was like a mainstream, quite hardline American conservative, I'd say. And she did her show and everything like that. For some reason, I mean, it may be because she got married and she's had 2 children, I think. That tends to be a big turning point in your life. It certainly was when my kid was born. She has in recent years actually been expanding her mind out into other areas. And she's been, in the same way that Simon Holland has, in a slightly different way, she's not trying to bury her past and pretend that she's always said these things. But for example, she has been very studiously researching the truth behind the French presidency, Emmanuel Macron and his wife. And she's quite famous. Yes, husband. She's quite famously revealed what was probably true, which is Brigitte Macron is a male to female transsexual. And that she was actually a man, and was a man when she first met Macron. And for whatever reason, this is, I mean, in this day and age, I don't know why he doesn't just come out and say it, because he'd probably get more votes if he did. But this is something that the Macrons themselves, the couple themselves, always denied. There was a French journalist, and Candice is not the first person to say this. There's a French journalist whose name I can't remember, who also made this point and actually researched a lot of this material too long before Candace did, and the Macrons sued him and lost. They lost this court case. They've now been engaged in a lawsuit against Candace Owens for saying this. And what's more, Candace is actually frightened that she's actually in hiding at the moment because she's frightened that she's going to be bumped off by French intelligence. And let's face it, they could. We were talking off there about people who say things that are actually and challenge some of the people, the individuals in power, even exposing some of their secrets. They sometimes come to sticky ends, don't they?
It is strange that very convenient ends. By the way,
it's suicide sometimes, but there's other things like they have heart attacks. Virginia Roberts Jeffrey, just before she apparently killed herself. Do you know there was a bus that tried to run her off the road, and she reported it as an attempted murder. Do you know that?
Really? That's interesting.
This was during the fuss before Andrew, the nonce formerly known as Prince, was first out in
the nonce formerly known as
Prince.
Yeah. That's a blatant crack, and I like that one. The nonce formerly known as Prince. Oh, by the way, Blu-ray. So I've actually put George Galloway on the list. See, these people not necessarily agree with, because I believe we've got to be open-minded here. I wouldn't agree with putting him on the list, but I put him on the list because it's up to you. It's not up to me. So George Galloway, even though I'm not that keen on him, I've put him on the list. So I won't say who I'm voting for, but you can probably guess who I'm voting for. A person that came on my show, but anyway. Now we got here. Aunt Sally says, "Where are we?"
Hi, Aunt Sally. How you doing?
Now where is he? I think Candace is a fake. Sorry. By the way, have you got any Aunt Sally you want to put forward? Sorry, carry on, Ben.
I was going to say a lot of people don't agree with her, and I don't think I agree with everything she says, but I'm impressed with some. I'm impressed with some of the material she's come out with. I mean, I believe probably she's got good reason to be concerned. I mean, it's not just what she said about the Macrons, but it's also. She's been taking a partisan position in the Israel-Palestine conflict as well. Mm-hmm. And we know that Mossad is actually quite brutal. In fact, they have a reputation in the intelligence service as being the most violent of all the intelligence agencies, and they do the most what you call wet work, the most assassinations and things like that. She did an interview with Ashton Forbes, which is remarkable because this indicates she's really embracing new ideas. Ashton Forbes is a guy who was going to be on the Joe Rogan show, but Joe cancelled him because he was too extreme for Joe Rogan. Now, that's saying something, isn't it? That is
saying something.
When you get cancelled by Joe Rogan, it's like being banned from. It's been like Elon banning you from Twitter, really, isn't it?
It is a little bit. But I like here what Alice Gorgeous says. They give 90% truth to hook you in. Are the Epstein files real? As if. Well, my personal belief, and I could be wrong, is I saw an interview on, I think was it YouTube, Rumble, one of those two, with an ex-Mossad bloke who's a whistleblower. Well, how he's still alive, I don't know. But and he reckons the Epstein files, what's happening is Nitty Nutty Knickers in Israel is actually releasing bits of it as a form of... Now, again, this is what was said. It's not necessarily my point of view. I'm just, saying... And this agent said that they're releasing bits of the Epstein file as blackmail because they know that the politicians are up to their necks in it, senior ones, and that's why they look so worried, because they want to wipe Iran off the map. And so... Again, make up your own mind. That is what this chap said. I don't know.
It's interesting because there's still 2.5 million pages that have not been released, and indeed there's people in the U.S. Congress now saying that they should just release the rest of it. This is like the third major release what we've just had of the Epstein files, and ever since he didn't hang himself in his cell, There's been a move to say, well, look, we need answers to this. We need to find out exactly what this guy was doing, what his beef was, what his connection was within the establishment. And now, very slowly, this is the third wave. It's by far the most extensive wave of releases, which kind of, again, it proves what we've been saying for years. And some of the people named, I mean, when it comes to the names, you've got to be a bit careful because, like, there's literally thousands of people in the files, and these were just people Epstein spoke to. For example, Ross Coulthart is in the Epstein files, and it was Ross jokes, well, no one invited me to the island. No, he's in the files because he exchanged some emails with Epstein because Epstein was doing. There's apparently Epstein was in touch with some people in the UAP research community. There's other people. There's a lot of people in the scientific world who are in the Epstein files, and seems to be connected to various scientific conferences that Jeffrey organised. This is why you get people like Kevin Knuth, Lawrence Krauss, Richard Dawkins, and Stephen Hawking are quite prominent in those files because he was basically organising conferences where they were speaking. I must say that with Dawkins and Krauss, there's it did get rather personal, to the point where they were describing Epstein as a really nice guy who was their best friend and things like that. And I thought, this doesn't mean they're guilty and they know what was going on, but it does make me wonder how much those guys actually knew what was really happening. Michael Shermer's mentioned as well. Shermer's just on a video explaining how, look, he's innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. But clearly, I think you were right. What you just said, though, Chris, that there's some messages going around saying what we've got in those 2.5 million left. This is kind of like a last push to get as much clout out of those files as they could. Now Epstein's gone, although some people say he actually survived. There's even a photo of him apparently in Tel Aviv.
That was what Galloway was insinuating in a sort of way. He said if he was killed, but and he was also saying he reckons that Prince of Darkness will go away to jail for a long time.
Oh, Mandy,
he won't commit suicide. Mandy, he won't commit suicide.
I'd like to see him face justice. Actually, I would like.
I'd like that bastard face. Yeah, I hate the bastard. I think he's a nasty.
They call him the Prince of Darkness for a reason. He was he was kind of Blair's. He was like the Blair's kind of conscience and guide, wasn't he?
Slimy. Yeah. And also apparently that he rents his house from Rothschild. There's known it. But Mark Anthony said, I see the locals in Sandringham have put posters up saying a sweaty nonce is in the area. I've seen that. It's been on Facebook, I think. It's a classic. It really is.
It's honestly, because he's still.
Sorry, carry on, mate.
I was going to say he's still, even though he's not a prince anymore, he's still Duke of York. They haven't taken that title off him. Yeah. Well, if I was in York, I'd be putting those posters up there too. Well, saying, this.
Well, so here, but Exo says about Candy says, how do you get injured on a UK bus given they never turn up when you wait for them? I suppose it's right there.
Yeah, it's I suspect they're trying to get one last one last run on this. But I mean, God knows, what this is. What we do know, and I think we know enough to know there are certain people like Mandelson. We know, for example, I mean, if we said this 5 years ago, people would have laughed at us. Yeah. But Epstein sent Mandelson a lot of money. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds, and this was supposedly Epstein. Mandelson's excuse was that he was having an osteopathy course at a private hospital, and Jeffrey very kindly just offered to pay for it.
Oh, is that nice?
Now, yeah, I mean, I know the private hospitals are expensive, and osteopaths probably, if you go private, they probably send you quite a big bill, but hundreds of thousands of pounds, and could Mandy not afford it himself? I mean, he wasn't poor, was he? He was not exactly poor.
Well, that's it. They make the most weirdest excuses.
Yeah, and we just believe this stuff.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember the Jeremy Thorpe case, and that was in the 70s. And with Jeremy Thorpe, he was guilty as the day is long. He paid someone to bump his lover off because he had a homosexual relationship with a chap who started to blab. And in those days, in the 70s, it was a very different times. So he paid someone who was completely incompetent to bump him off and accidentally shot his dog by mistake. And it went to court, and Jeremy Thorpe got off scot-free. And I think it was Norman Scott that was involved, you see. And there's a fantastic Private Eye front cover with Jeremy Thorpe next to his wife, and his wife's looking up at him and saying, "What are you going to do now, dear? Now the court case is over." And he said, there's a bubble coming out of his mouth, "Same as usual, dear, bugger all."
It reminds you of that Little Britain sketch, Sir Norman Pincher, And that is all I have to say on the matter. And his wife's standing there. Matt Lucas's character, she's standing there going, But yeah. But no, I mean, I don't remember this personally, but I know that Thorpe was a rival of Margaret Thatcher when the Tories were in opposition in the 70s, and he may well have ended up as Prime Minister. I'm not a fan of Margaret Thatcher, to be honest, but
I'm not a fan of any Prime Minister, because my attitude, or any government, because when you look at it, who are the governments? More people have been killed by the governments, their own government, than all the wars put together. They're lethal. They're dangerous. We don't need them.
I mean, in this day and age, I agree. I mean, I suppose I'm something of an anarchist, I think.
I guess I am. But the thing is, if we said, right, we're going to do it away from governments now, and we click our fingers, it would be chaos. It's got to be a gentle thing, I believe, of letting go and letting people become more responsible for their lives. More freedom. That's it.
I compare it to a drug addiction. I compare, or a medication addiction, like antidepressants or something. If you just stop the course, you'll be. I've taken medication where they just tell you you have to cut down slowly, bit by bit, until you wean yourself off them. Yeah, and I think it's something like that. But as far as like blackmail goes, I mean, no, these days they can't blackmail you for homosexuality, unless, of course, it is an extramarital issue. I mean, Mandelson very famously is gay and is married to a man. No one really. I mean, that would only become an issue if he wasn't public about it, and he had some other people on the side. But I think that they probably, in the case of Mandelson, clearly there was some kind of relationship. I mean, maybe it'll all come out, but there was some kind of relationship where I think Mandelson was probably a lot more connected than maybe Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss were.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if money is changing hands, it probably means he's involved in a very, very significant way. And if so, then he needs to be in court like Maxwell was.
Well, my attitude is, providing it's between consenting adults, what people get up to behind closed doors is none of my business. Seriously.
Of course, with Epstein, it wasn't just consenting. It wasn't consenting, and it wasn't adults as far as Epstein goes, was it?
Well, precisely. Yeah. And when it comes to children and things like that, well, that's a different matter. Totally.
That's the ultimate evil. That's the ultimate evil.
It is the ultimate evil.
There's no redemption from that.
I remember I worked in an architect's place down in Holborn, and another branch office did a project that what's his name, Jimmy Savile was involved with. I don't quite know the full details of it, and some of the architects that worked on that project had met Jimmy Savile, and they moved on to a project I was working on, and this was when Savile was at his height, and I said, I find him creepy. I don't like him. And because I said that, people said, and one of them said, he does so much for charity. Oh, you horrible person for saying such a thing like that. And this chap actually stopped talking to me because I didn't like Jimmy Savile. He actually stopped talking to me. He said, you must be a horrible person to think that of Jimmy Savile. Now, then we didn't know what he was getting up to. Yeah. I just said, I find him creepy because we didn't know. And he said, he's marvellous. He came along, he shook my hand, and he's such a kind man. You could feel the kindness. I mean, the sun shone out of his backside, according to these architects that met him. And I was such an evil, nasty person because I said I found him creepy. And this is the way people are.
You have an ability to see beyond the flannel. That's the thing, Chris, and a lot of people did. You see, because the charity stuff is just a lot of them have this kind of veneer of philanthropy. I mean, even the Cray twins would like help old, they would help old people for homes and things like that. So yeah, and even what's his name, even the Pablo Escobar apparently had he funded a children's hospital and things like this.
Yeah.
He was a drug baron, but people who could see through it, like you've dealt with psychopaths before. One of our first conversations we ever had was about the psychopaths you've had to deal with through your life in your family, and I've had a similar situation.
Yes, I remember that. Yes,
yeah, that's one of our first conversations, and indeed, other people have seen other sides of him, and indeed, there's a very, very famous outtake from the old grey whistle test with Johnny Rotten. Talking about Savile.
Yes.
It was never broadcast, but he said that he could. And indeed, when he was challenged with this in recent years, he was in tears because so many people were like, he knew about it, he heard about it. I mean, the fact that he was a hospital porter. Now, this is it because he was like volunteering as a hospital porter at St James's.
That's
Hospital,
right.
Which is very upsetting for me as a 23 years I was a hospital porter. It's very upsetting for me to know that someone like that was doing it. And indeed, I mean, the depravities he was involved in, I don't need to repeat, and the fact that he was he chose to be in the hospital for that reason. But he was. There's one that
Stoke Mandeville, wasn't it?
Stoke Mandeville. Yeah, he was helping there, and the one that he gave money to them. Yes, he was so wonderful. Maybe that's one of the reasons they put up with him. But I mean, because he was who he was. He was allowed certain privilege. He was allowed to go out with the paramedics on their ambulance, and really something happened once that. This was like in the 70s. I think it was in the early 70s this happened, which really should have ended his career. It involves the fact that he asked the other paramedics to photograph him holding a severed human head. And this is incredible. I mean, anyone who ever works on the ambulances, ever serves on the ambulances, well, this is the last thing you want to do. You have to, this was after there was a particularly nasty road crash, a motorcyclist and an articulated lorry. And obviously the motorcyclist came worse off. And indeed, he did lose his head in this collision. And Savile wanted to hold the head with blood dripping out the bottom of it and get a photograph. And the paramedics did it, but they did complain about this. And they said, this is awful behaviour. And we don't want him on our ambulance crew again. We don't want him coming out with the ambulance crews ever again.
Really? I didn't know that. I know that the late, great Dave Starbuck, now he was old style journalist, and he would do everything handwritten. He would not allow a computer into his home and gave it to a freelance secretary to type up. That's how old fashioned he was. And he said that before it was, we knew about Savile, being a journalist, and especially a self-employed journalist, you get a lot of cranks. And this ex-nurse came to him and said she caught Jimmy Savile red-handed in the mortuary. And Dave Starbuck wrote it all down, what happened and all this, that and the other. And when she walked out, he screwed the piece of paper up and chucked it in the bin because he thought she was talking a load of old rubbish. And when it was, when he heard the truth about Savile, his heart sunk and he tried to find that nurse and she died. And I think he took that to great. I think he really regretted that. That really, but I said to him, look, at the time, it was unbelievable, and anybody in that circumstances would have done the same because you'd have thought that person's a crank. But now we know the truth. But we didn't know then.
The thing is, not all the people who were doing that, not all the people who were doing things like that, Chris, could actually plead that kind of ignorance. Some of them were senior. Some of them were senior people in hospital admin. There were senior officials at the BBC. Lots and lots of other people, even people connected to the royal family and the government. They knew what he was like. They knew what he was doing, and they put up with it because he was a celebrity. He was like great. He was good for business. He brought in a lot of money, things like that. And so they said, they turned. I think there's this phrase, wasn't it? Open secret, turning a blind eye, tacit collaboration. Well, I mean, it's sickening because people. It's so cowardly. But
it is sickening, and they reckon that Mandy may have had the same freedom to go in and out of the palace as Savile.
You know what it is?
May have allegedly. Yeah. I'm not saying he did. That's what some people are alleging. I'm not alleging it. Okay, it's what some people are alleging. I don't know. I haven't got the facts.
But it's those who know will say things like, they'll somehow justify it in their own minds. They'll say things like, "Well, I'm just doing my job, I'm not here." I mean, I've heard people. I mean, obviously, the Nuremberg trials is a good example, and I'm not here to say that the Nuremberg trials were just or that the right people got blamed for the war and things like that. I know that there are other people. It's the history is a lot more less one-sided than it's often portrayed. But the fact of the matter is that the key point of the Nuremberg Code was that culpability, if knowledge is culpability, and even if there are consequences for resisting evil, you still have to do it. So even if you say, well, I had to, people often say things like, well, I had to do my job. If I don't do my job, they'll just sack me. Well, too bad. You have to let them sack you. I've been in this position, and I've had to face this danger, and I'm pleased to say I made the right decision. If I could,
hang on a moment. I now put you on the list. Hero. Okay.
No, it's all right.
No. It's I think only fair. So.
Yeah. Thank you, but I didn't.
That sounds a bit. The list of people who've stood against the crowd to do what they believe is correct. So that's it.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks.
That's all right.
That's very. I
appreciate that. Yeah. That's okay. I'm sorry I didn't think of you beforehand.
Honestly, I don't think I'm worthy. I'm not worthy, but.
Oh yes, you are. I mean, so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on there. So anybody else?
Compared with others, I'm very, very flattered to be compared with those other people. But it's true though. People will say things. I mean, people say the Milgram experiment actually revealed that
it did.
Yeah, most people simply do as they're told. These are not evil people. These are not psychopaths. But these are people who exhibit what we call pseudo-psychopathic tendencies. That is, they exhibit that behaviour, or they can collaborate with that behaviour, but they feel pressured to by society, by conformism, by peer pressure, by authorities in their lives, such as their boss, their government, police officers, doctors, etc. Authority figures in their life. I watched this shocking documentary about the job centre, and about how this person was saying quite openly, we were told, we were given instructions by our boss, we had to, when people were coming in, and we had to find excuses to sanction them, that is to cut their job seekers allowance and things like that, even though it wasn't true, even though there was no justification for it, we were ordered to do that. And what struck me, he said this very matter of factly, there was no hint of shame. He obviously wasn't. He didn't blame himself for this, even though he was an accessory to this. He was guilty of this himself, and this was never brought up. He said this without any shame. This is what we would do. And I suppose his excuse would have been, well, my job was to do as I was told, and so it's my boss's fault, so blame them. And of course, you go to the boss, and the boss will say, well, I heard it from head office, so blame them. You go to head office and they'll say, well, I heard it from the DSS, so blame them. And the DSS minister would say, well, the Prime Minister told me to do it, blame him. And it goes up and up the chain,
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut, but this happened after the First and Second World War. Civil servants were told that so many percentage of disabled servicemen, you should find any excuse possible to stop their disabled allowance, and they made up any excuse. I mean, my father was told that his shell shock was brought on by his childhood. They made that up.
If you were in this position, right, whoever you are, wherever you are within the hierarchy, and you're ordered to do something evil, you have to say no. And you have to. I mean, it could be a crappy deal, because then you get into trouble. You get like harassed. You'll get harassment. You'll get your boss will probably reprimand you. Best, you may lose your job. It doesn't matter. You don't do evil.
Precisely.
Right? You just say.
You're right.
The people at the top who organise all this, who actually make these decisions, they would be helpless if it wasn't for their underlings obeying their orders.
Oh, you're right. I mean, when you look at these massacres and genocides throughout the world, the top honchos, they don't get blood on their hands. They get ordinary people too. But I think it's susceptible people, because I believe that psychopaths, and I'm hoping to get Jerry Mowinski on the show soon, they can hypnotise susceptible people. And I think there's about 30% of people that fall under this hypnotism, where they will do what they're told regardless. And afterwards, they realise, they've done wrong. I really do believe that. I've been in offices with the psychopaths, and people sort of fall under their spell. It's very weird. But Sue Sparkle reckons, what about the bowler hat farmer? What on the heroes list? Has he bravely stood up against the
I've heard
crowd,
of him.
though?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
I don't know, Sue. We'll have to debate that because it's got to be here. You've got to stand against the crowd, whether you agree or disagree with the person. Has he stood against the crowd? I don't know.
I mean, maybe we should explain exactly what the Milgram experiment is, because not
Certainly.
everyone would have heard of it. But yeah, it was in the early 60s. This Stanley Milgram, a psychologist, decided to trick people into thinking they were torturing somebody to death with electric shocks. Now you might think, well, no one's going to do that, are they? No one will do that. Well, you see, it wasn't. They weren't just saying they were. You see, because they were sitting there with the buttons pressing the different levels of voltage, and the person in the next room was screaming in agony. They were just pretending they weren't really.
It was an actor, wasn't it? It was an actor doing it.
An actor, and they were begging them to stop and things like that. And the thing is that there was a guy with a white coat, obviously like a doctor.
That's right. And a clipboard.
Had a clipboard. He looked like he's and he had the air of being a very, very medical professional. And he was telling the person pressing the button to do it. And whenever the person, I mean, I've watched the movie, the videos of it. It's quite disturbing because you can see.
It's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
Watch it on YouTube anytime. Just search Milgram experiment. You can see the people getting very upset and they're saying, "Look, this guy's really in pain. Maybe we should stop." And they said, "No, you must carry on. You have no choice but to continue." And he kept repeating this mantra. And even there was a big red button at the end of the panel, and he said, if you press that, you deliver a fatal electric shock to the victim, and then they're finally dead. I think 95% of people just obeyed it, even to the point where they pressed the red button. And this was what Milgram discovered, was that he said this is how, for example, this is why Alexander Solzhenitsyn was abused in the Gulag. This is why, the soldiers at My Lai opened fire on the innocent women and children in Vietnam. This is why we've seen indeed in more recent years guys on paragliders attacking the rock festival in Israel, and indeed the bombing of just the carpet bombing of Gaza afterwards. As I say, I don't take a side in that conflict. I stand with all the innocent people who suffer on both sides.
Well, that's right. It's innocence. But you see, the thing is that look at the lockdown, how people turned us who didn't wear a mask and went against it. How people were turning on us, and being quite aggressive, and the little dictators. Killers. That's right.
Granny killers.
Little dictators.
Yeah. COVIDiots, granny killers, they called us.
That's right. And there was a sign on a shop, and I still don't go there now, that said, no mask, no entry.
Yeah.
And
in Oxford, they actually, all the small shops were shot in Oxford. And indeed, the large ones were had a security guard, and they wouldn't let you in without one. So I went and made my own mask, and I wrote on it, davidicke.com, Google COVID hoax and things like that. And the security guard went like that. He realised he couldn't stop me going in. Anyway, but you're absolutely right. And now this whole thing is now being forgotten. Again, it's been kind of buried, and it's gone down the memory hole. And again, we got this strange situation where the conspiracy realists, if that's a good term, have been proved right, and indeed it's now openly acceptable there is such a thing as vaccine injury. And that some numerous people now have a case. There's been some class action lawsuits or attempts, although unfortunately the manufacturers, they have indemnities and disclaimers up their asses. But
crumbs! So get away with murder.
But there are attempts now to take action against them. But they're now calculating. They say yes, we believe that a number of people died directly as a result of taking an untested, an unsafe vaccine that had never been subjected to a full medical trial. It was introduced literally within months. So it was fast-tracked and rushed into mass production. The manufacturers made billions off this. This was their biggest payday in history. And you get people with Guillain-Barré syndrome. You get people with blood clots. And even the survivors today are in a terrible state. And you get women giving birth to deformed babies. It's like Agent Orange all over again. And And I don't know anyone who's not had some kind of adverse reaction to taking their vaccine. And
Crumbs!
my own family, my dad wasn't hospitalised, but he was almost hospitalised. My brother was
Really?
iller than I was. I actually caught COVID twice. I was not as ill as my brother was when he had the bloody vaccine. He was literally lying on. I went to visit him, and he's literally sitting in a chair like that with a blanket wrapped around him, going, I feel horrible. I feel awful. I said, what's wrong? I've had my COVID vaccine. I said, I had the disease itself, and I was less ill than you.
Well, the thing is, what gets me is that it was frightening how that psyop took hold. It really was quite disturbing. And I used to work with a little Austrian bloke. A very nice man he was. They called him Hans. We called him Hands, Knees and Bumps a Daisy. Yeah, Hands. And I think he was past retirement, long time ago. And he was actually in Austria when Germany took it over. And he was a bit outspoken. Now, he wasn't Jewish, he was Christian. But I don't know the full facts, but I think he had a business with Jewish people. And people accused him. And he said it shook him how kind and nice neighbours suddenly turned on him overnight. And he got out of Austria pretty quick and came to this country. He had, he's rich enough to do that. But he said he's lucky he did get out. But he said he was Christian. He wasn't Jewish. He said, but they turned on him because he had a lot of dealings with Jewish people. A lot of his clients were Jewish. So he said that it's surprising how your neighbours can turn on you like that. Yeah. 1 minute they're your best friend, next minute, bang, that's it.
Yeah. When I was at the hospital, I said I resisted this new policy that was brought in because they were going to ruin everything. It's what's sad is there were 15 men in my section as theatre porters, and they all turned against me. It was really awful. And I mean, there were much worse examples than what I went through. For example, during the Rwandan genocide, I mean, I did watch a documentary about the 1990, I think it was 1994. There was the Rwandan genocide. One of the guys that was killed by his best friend. This was somebody who they'd grown up together. They were like brothers. And when this man got married, his friend bought him a new car as a wedding present. And then when the genocide began, it was almost like people were responding to some kind of programming. It was almost like a Manchurian Candidate-like thing. And this guy went around with a machete and basically butchered his entire family.
Yeah. And then afterwards, and you see these people, family. And they're quite normal. They're quite sort of, hello, nice sort of people. You would never think that they would do such horrendous things. And this is the thing. By the way, David might be on. He's just sent a message. I've just sent him a studio link in Telegram. I don't know if you know David. So he's going to ask you about Roswell.
Yeah, I'd be glad to answer questions on that. I'd glad to. But it's absolutely true. Maybe there's a. I think there was that Inside Man, that very, very good drama on the BBC. I mean, the first scene is horrible. It's lots of propaganda, but then the rest of it is pretty good. It's got David Tennant in, who was Doctor Who. He plays this vicar, this really nice, sweet vicar, who I won't give you any spoilers, but he ends up conspiring to murder somebody. And there's this tagline that says, "All of us, under certain circumstances, are capable of doing this. All of us, under certain circumstances, are capable of committing the most awful crimes." And for some of us, especially those who are less intelligent and more compliant, they literally, I mean, I look around myself at the hospital. When I was at the hospital, I was looking at people like the security guards and thinking, it would only take one little shift in the political landscape, and those guys would be manning the gates of the concentration camps. I know, and I know exactly which ones will be doing it as well.
You think that you think of the rise in security now. Now, I'm old enough to remember you walked into a supermarket, you never saw a security guard. They just didn't exist. 10 years ago, 15 years ago? And these people, these military age chaps that are coming over on their rubber boats are perfect for security because they're not of our culture. There's no sentimentality between the cultures. So they will come along and kick your door down without any feelings at all.
This is why the government want them here. People have put this down to some kind of terrible folly. The government they made a terrible mistake by not tackling the immigration crisis. Well, they haven't. They made it happen. They wanted it to happen,
right.
and it's happening because they're making it happen. I mean, imagine if a boatload of white South Africans turned up on the beach at Dover. People who have a legitimate claim for political asylum because they're essentially being exterminated in their own country. They would literally charter a plane within 5 minutes to take those boys back. You go back to your farms, go back to the killing fields. They would literally, the government would.
They're splitting us up, but this is what they do all the time. They cause trouble between the natives. I mean, this is how they ran South Africa. There was two tribes that hated each other's guts. I think it was the Zulus and there's another tribe. So what they did, is if there's any problems, if the government wanted to do anything that was sort of a bit distasteful, they just stir trouble up between the two tribes and then come in as peacekeepers.
The first thing that happened in Zimbabwe when they gained their independence was there was a genocide in an area they called Matabele land. It used to be southern Rhodesia.
Yeah.
Which the Mashona, they were led by Robert Mugabe, basically went and they locked people in their houses and they set fire to the houses all across Matabele land. Yeah, I mean, and of course that wouldn't be.
Well, I don't like I don't like Mandela. Whatever people say about him, I can't stand the bastard.
He's a typical example of what we often see, that historical figures tend to be either demonized or lionized. So historical figures are either demons or angels. So, what happens is that the historic people in history are pretty much like everyone else. They're capable of doing good and evil, and very often their evil will be covered up if they want to be turned into angels, and their good side will be covered up if they want to be turned into historical devils.
You're spot on. I mean, there was a chap, he got done in, I think. Was it Uganda? Recently, during the lockdowns, he was speaking out the truth about COVID, and I think he got bumped off. I think it was Uganda.
No, Mozambique. I know who you mean.
Oh, Mozambique, yeah. And you looked into his eyes. There's something about eyes. He had kind eyes.
Yeah.
That bloke's eyes. But there's something about Mandela's eyes I just didn't like.
Yeah. But I know who you mean. He was actually, I know who you mean. I think he was actually the president.
That's it.
He was the president.
There was something about that bloke. I know very little about him.
He said, we don't want Bill Gates in our country because Bill Gates has spent most of the last 15 years in Africa. And funny enough, at the very same time that, in fact, lots of Western pharmaceutical people have spent a lot of time in Africa. At the very, very same time that suddenly half of them are dying of AIDS and other things like that. So just a coincidence, nothing to worry about, as David Icke says. They said, we don't want Bill Gates in Africa because he understood what that guy's doing. He understood what he was there for. Africa is basically a huge pharmaceutical laboratory.
It was. It is. It's a huge country. Yeah. And the poor souls that are there. And India as well. I mean, there's Bill, apparently, it's been alleged, again, I'm not saying it because Bill Gates has got, he can afford very good lawyers, that poor girls have been sterilised in India. And it's terrible things, and Exo said his wife was a right psycho, Winnie
Mandela,
yes, that with the old tyres round people's necks,
necklacing,
catching not a nice person.
Yeah, no. She had a group of thugs, which she called her football club. They didn't actually play any football. They just went around basically threatening people who wouldn't vote for the ANC. Including a 14-year-old boy, Stompy, somebody. He was a little 14-year-old boy. Winnie beat him for days on end, literally with a stick, and then they necklaced this little boy. I mean, necklacing is the most sadistic thing imaginable. It's literally burning people to death with a tire full of petrol. It's the most invented. It was invented by someone who just wants evil. They want people to suffer. Yeah,
psychopath, absolute psychopaths. But this, we got here, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Because remember, they always look on this idea as if they're helping people. But Bulmer and other technority have parallel foundations nearly as large. Mandela gets up to more mischief than Bill. Melinda gets up to more. Yeah, because apparently Bill Gates allegedly caught something nasty that we don't talk about over polite company and passed it on to his wife. because apparently he's been knocking around with a Russian prostitute, allegedly.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I don't. I think it's. I'm not sure if it's actually true, but it's supposedly in the Epstein files. I mean, I think
Yes,
that
was
might
it
be apocryphal.
in and out and shake it all about, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I
He
wouldn't
did the okey
advocate.
cokey.
I wouldn't advocate slander even against gays,
No,
but I'm not a fan of him, and I'm not.
I'm not a fan of him.
No.
I think it might be slanderous. It's only what other people say. I'm just reading what other
Yeah.
people say. Whether it was the hokey cokey or not, I don't know. So there we are. I mean, I wasn't actually in the bedroom with my binoculars behind the bed. Yes, yes. Oh, yes, there's something going on now. Yes. You know, so
Yeah, they are.
because you think about it, if the government tax sex, you can have PAYF, pay as you fornicate. You know, and have inspectors looking through windows. You know, so the old bread springs. They'll ask the neighbours, "Did you hear bread springs going last night?" Oh yes, yes. Oh yes, super tax. You know.
They tax everything else, so why not that?
Yes, it'd be embarrassing to say, "I'd like a rebate, please."
Well, at least that's. I wouldn't have to pay that tax very often, luckily.
No. Alice Golders said, enough of the visuals. Yes. And no, the thing is that, now this is interesting. Gates bought land in Wyoming and the Stockmen's Association wasn't thrilled. This is buying Gates, he's buying land everywhere.
Yeah, that's
He's buying it up.
Why? Because apparently the royal family own a huge amount of land. Because Queen Elizabeth was buying, like, she bought up half of America, and she bought properties all over America under a fake name. And God knows why, you know.
My theory, I mean, is that the royals will disappear, and they'll disappear to South America because they've been buying up lots of land. That's my theory. I could be totally wrong.
Is that when they immanentize the eschaton, or like bring in the Black Swan event, which the final push for the New World Order?
Well, what they want is a depopulation of 90%, isn't it? And they will be the elite, and only 10% will be their slaves.
Well, I mean, if they're going to, you know, how are they going to? I mean, like I said, there's many ways you can actually reduce the population. One is to give them a medication which affects their fertility, and we've seen that, haven't we?
We have.
I mean, again, you can't, even on YouTube, you can't say too much, but we've seen like certain medical treatments that affect people's fertility. That's right. Popular now. At the same time, we have men's sperm counts dropping.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's phenomenal. I mean, they reckon it's something like 2/3. It's a phenomenal amount. And by the way, Ashmo Sabrahaloran says, Bill Slick Dick got spotted quick and Jeffrey had the tablets.
maybe Jeffrey was donating money like he did to Mandelson, you know, for Bill Gates' treatment. But you know that if your sperm count drops below about a quarter or something, and that's what it was like 100 years ago, then your chances, you basically go subfertile, and your chances of conceiving a child are really low. But also rates of miscarriages are increasing. More and more women are becoming barren. So if we're failing to reproduce like we used to.
We're looking for oh dear, what's the word now? Extinction.
Yeah, did you see that
even China is worried because there's not enough children being born, and this idea that we're overpopulated is bullshit. It's total bullshit. There's not enough children being born. Women are not having enough children.
So, I mean, yeah, exactly. The huge population is going to crash enormously because, of course, old people are going to start dying off, and they're not going to be replaced. And it's scary, you know. But I mean, if you see that film, and you can't actually say the title, but it's Expired Without Warning. It's a synonym of Expired Without Warning. But this film actually goes into that, and they've got medical statistics, and they say things like which have been certified. And this is not reported in the media, but does exist. You know, they couldn't find a single normal birth against any women who'd had the you-know-what treatment.
Yes.
And literally, they were like, first they had a huge amount of trouble conceiving a child, loads of miscarriages, and the babies themselves were ill from birth. Oh, and there were lots, and the rates of stillbirth were skyrocketing. It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
It is terrifying. And when you look at, I mean, when you got to ask Patrick, he's looked into Mary Stopes clinics and things like that. And apparently, well, Patrick knows a lot about it. I mean, he's a Catholic, so he's against birth control and things. But I think that it's frightening what is actually happening, because they apparently started after World War One, and they reckon that where there's electricity, the birth count goes down, and when they're introducing electricity into Africa, the birth count goes down, because what happens is people get things like, I don't know, washing machines and cookers and consumer white goods, and that costs money, and they want the goodies, so they have less children, and then those children go to university and they study, and they think, well, I don't really want that many children, because it's it costs lots of money, and that's why, I mean, look what's happened in Bangladesh. In 1970, I think the average woman gave birth to something like 5 to 6 children. Now it's below the European. It's about 1.2 children. Bangladesh is facing extinction now because there's not enough children being born.
So we have this perfect storm of reduced birth rates. We have people who literally say there needs to be fewer people in the world. I mean, they're quite open about this idea that there's too many people in the world. And those very same people are engaged in, you've got Nathan's mug. I've got one of those. Yeah, where is it? I just noticed you've got Nathan's mug. Yeah.
Quick plug here. Yes, Nathan, that'll be another 5 bobs for advertising your bug. So there we go. Yeah.
But this perfect storm involves people. Firstly, we have crashing birth rates. We have people dying from various injuries, from various medical treatments. We have a group of people who quite openly say there needs to be fewer people in the world. We need to find some way to bring the population down in an ethical, humane way. And those very same people are chummy with the people producing the medical treatments that now it's quite publicly admitted they're being linked to these health problems. And really, it's these connections are, well, really, if you ignore these connections and say, well, it's just not happening, then why? How on earth can you say that? Isn't it obvious?
Well, it's like scurvy. Now, they knew the cure for scurvy for 300 years, but they couldn't get it into their thick skulls. So it's strange that the average sailors were going down with scurvy, but the officers didn't. And the reason the officers didn't, because they ate meat, and the sailors had hardtack, which is wheat. So they didn't get vitamin C. And it took 300 years. But the so-called savages, the Polynesian Islanders, knew about scurvy, and they never had it, because they knew how to deal with it.
They've eaten the right food. Yeah.
They've eaten the right food.
Problem. Yeah,
that's right.
Nutrition. Yeah, it's nutrition.
Yeah,
and I mean, but eventually, when someone makes the connection, of course, the first person who made the connection, they say, "Oh, don't be silly. You must be a loony to think that." But then, of course, then as Arthur C. Clarke says, this all the truth goes through this process. First, it's ignored, then it's laughed at, then it's demonized, then it's accepted. The final stage is, well, I thought of it first.
Yes,
and it's true. I mean,
and look at last night. We was talking about Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. Now, Bonhoeffer is a hero of mine. He is a man of extreme bravery. He was actually was against an Austrian painter and decorator, and he was sent into a concentration camp, and the poor soul was hung 2 weeks before the Americans got there and liberated it. 2 weeks, Bonhoeffer. So please look up Bonhoeffer, Theory of Stupidity. I admire that man, because what he says is when people get into groups, hierarchy groups, basically, they become stupid. It doesn't matter how technical they are, how qualified they are, they become stupid. It does seem to be that way.
I can't believe it, Okay. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to have to go about 9:30. So where's this guy wants to ask me?
That's all right. So, Dave, where are you? I think you know David, don't you? He knows you.
Does he often come on? He's the guy who sometimes joins us. Is he a chap?
Yes, he's from Yorkshire. And
right, yeah, I think I know.
I'll find his. I can't remember his surname. It's David Moorfield.
But I mean, if he wants to ask me at Roswell, I'm going to have to go in about 20 minutes. But
I understand. Yeah, I fully understand.
Yeah,
David, if you want to come on, please come on soon, because Ben's got to go.
Well, just put it in the chat if you want. Put your question in the chat, because if Roswell is something an obsession of mine. As you can see, I've got this T-shirt here because I organised
Roswell. What really? Sorry, carry on, mate.
I was going to say there was only one to mark the 70th anniversary of the event, which was in 2017. There was only one. I organised the only conference in the world outside Roswell itself that did that. Yeah. That's true, isn't it, Alice?
But
Yeah, first they ignore you, then they laugh, then they fight you,
that's
then they.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what about Rendlesham? That's the
That is
English one.
yes. That is
Now,
actually more.
I've heard some people say it's a hoax. Some
No.
people say it wasn't a hoax. Some people say there's all different. Dave's coming on in 1 minute.
Cool.
Right, you got
Rendlesham
15.
Forest.
You got 30 seconds, mate. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rendlesham
on, mate.
Forest, I think, is evidentially far more important because it was not left to stew for 30 years like Roswell was. Research began almost immediately. Within 3 years, there was the whistleblower, and the first book was written, and things like that. So it's evidentially far more important. There's a lot more evidence and a lot more. There's many more witnesses. New ones have emerged just in the last few years.
Professor Simons covered it.
Yeah, there's a new documentary called Capel Green, which was, I think, the most in-depth, significant documentary ever. And that's not just because I'm in it. Because
you're in it. Wow.
Yeah. Someone mentioned the Pentuck incident. Yeah. That's actually very, very significant too. Yeah, it is. The Pentuck incident. Yeah.
Pentuck incident.
That's it. That was 10 years ago in South Wales. I was actually the ufological journalist that broke that story.
What about the Welsh Triangle? Have you heard of the Welsh Triangle?
That's in southwest Wales. Yeah, that was in 1977. There was like a massive number of UFO incidents and other strange events in South Wales. Yeah, in southwest Wales. Very strong.
David's just come on. You can put your camera on, mate, if you want, because we can have three on us on the show. So it's entirely up to you, David, if you want to put your camera on.
Hi, David.
Yeah, if you want to put your camera on, please feel free. It's just that if we have any more than three, it gets a bit crowded. But you can put your camera on if you want. And welcome, David. Have you got your microphone working? Let's have a look. No, I think you got a bit of trouble getting your microphone to. This normally happens, but he's actually in the studio. But I think he's trying to unmute his microphone.
Well, I had a few problems with that as well.
Testing.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Dave.
Hello there.
Far away. Right. You know, Ben. Again, if you want to put your camera on, feel free, because we can have three on here, but it's entirely up to you.
No, I've got my marigolds on, so I've just been washing up, so I won't.
David
with his marigolds.
David, it's you. I know. Yeah, of course I know him. Of course I know you. We did an interview. We recorded an interview with Neil Peel and Neil Ward a few days ago, didn't we?
Right, I've got a bit of delay here, but yeah, Ben, that's 20 years, Ben, I've known you. So anyway, I'd like to ask, right? Hang on. I'd like to ask, given that Roswell is one of the main things that everyone sort of looks to, even sort of normal people that aren't really into the whole UFO area, how does your book have you covered it that's a little bit different? Because obviously there's been more than any UFO. ET disclosure sort of topic. It's been covered by many people, many books. So I'm really interested. I haven't got a copy of your book, but I'd like to read it. How does your book differ, and what layers do you think it brings out that perhaps others haven't?
I think the main difference. Thanks. That's a good question, David. It's good to talk to you again. The main difference with my book, Roswell Rising: A Novel of Disclosure, is it essentially asks the question what would have happened, not what has happened or what could. It's an alternative history, essentially. It begins with the Roswell incident, but the difference is, as I explained here, what if this cover-up never happened? And then I let the story run from there, and the story develops essentially in a parallel universe. That's, I think, is unique. I mean, I don't think there's any other work that does that. Although I think Bryce Zabel might be working on one, but he hasn't published it yet, and he was working on it before me. And so, that's why I think it's different. Because I was absolutely fascinated by this idea about what would have happened. Why did they cover it up? What would have happened? What were they scared of? You know.
Also, is there any truth, Ben, that there's some people saying that it's strange that for hundreds of years technology didn't advance that much, and then suddenly it's accelerated where we've got computers? And was it from a UFO crash where they back engineered what had come from this crash? I don't know, but I just wonder what your view is of that theory.
There was a book written about that, which I've read by Colonel Philip Corso and William Burns, The Day After Roswell. I actually wasn't impressed with that book myself. I mean, despite the fact that Corso was a very senior figure, I know that a lot of the stuff, a lot of what he wrote in there couldn't possibly be true. He believes that he believes he actually encountered the Roswell alien because some soldiers drove it in a lorry from Roswell to Wright-Patterson, and that they stopped to get a cup of coffee and use the toilet at Corso's base. And Corso happened to be in command of the guard duty that night, and they said, well, they just nipped into the toilet, so we had to look in the back of the lorry, and there was an alien there. I mean, something like that would have been transported by air or in a very, very heavily armed convoy, and they wouldn't have stopped for coffee in places like that. And so there's lots of other things which were not impressed by that book. The things that Corso talks about, the technology, you mentioned computers and things like that. Well, they were invented by people, and there is actually what you might call a chain of custody in terms of science and engineering where they came from. Now, having said that, I do believe, and I know other people like Danny Sheehan and I don't agree, but I do believe that we have captured, not just at Roswell, but at other incidents, we have captured extraterrestrial technology. It has been studied. It may well be possible that it may well be that this technology has actually been the basis of some human-made technology as well. But it's not lasers, it's not computers, it's not fiber optics. It's nothing that's been put into the public arena. It's been kept secret. It's technology that's enjoyed by the breakaway civilization, as Richard Dolan calls it, and not by the general public. It's essentially like a two-tier system. So that's my take on it.
It's interesting. Now, David, if you're getting feedback, the problem is you haven't got headphones on, and it's going through your speakers and bouncing back. I haven't got feedback here. I don't think you're getting it. So, Ben, are you? I don't.
No, I can hear everyone perfectly. I can hear David.
Yeah, it's just. I'm sorry. I had a few more points, but I've got 2 layers of sound coming in, so I'll go finish the washing up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
It's good to meet you, David. It's good to meet you. Thanks for joining us. Some people are asking me about.
Was it? Don't be silly. Moors aren't aliens. They ruled Iberia for 800 years. Hence this is Stan Roth. Hence the Islamic Golden Age was where the European Renaissance and Enlightenment.
Oh, that's referring to history. Yeah, the Moorish invasion of Spain and the Reconquista and stuff like that. Yeah, was right, yes. Moors, I suppose, from Morocco. I suppose that's where you get the name Morocco. But yeah,
that's the point. Yeah, so they populated Spain, and I think it's the Crusades have got them out. But Exo, how about the theme? The tech was advanced German. Ben?
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard that one. Where was it a UFO crashed in Berlin in 1936 or something?
Yeah, someone mentions Joseph Farrell and the Kecksburg incident. Yeah, the Kecksburg incident actually happened 60 years ago, which was where a craft shaped like a bell landed in this little piece of wood, an acorn. Yeah. Now it resembles very closely a device that was being built in Eastern Europe during World War II, and in the closing days of World War II in Poland, there's something called the Wenceslas mine, which essentially was an underground laboratory. And one of the last things the Nazis did before the Soviet tanks rolled in and basically killed them all was they blew up the entrance to the mine. And so we don't know what's down there. It's never been excavated. But we do know that some of these, not all these Nazis were killed. Some of them disappeared. A guy called SS General Hans Kammler disappeared. Now, where did he go? Is he just missing in action, like sadly a lot of people inevitably do in war? Or was he part of Operation Paperclip, the secret plan after the end of the war to plunder the conquered German nation for all its resources, including its brains? Now we know that it happened because some of it was done openly by people like Hermann Oberth and Werner von Braun. These people were recruited to the NASA space program. There were others that were taken to the Soviet Union. A few came to Britain. And they were forced essentially to work for the victorious Allies to develop some secret technology, some open technology. The rockets that first launched people into space were based on the V2 missile. It's a liquid fuel rocket. This was a ballistic missile that the Germans used to devastate London in the war. Same, it's just a more. You see the Saturn V rocket going up with astronauts, which went to the moon or didn't, depending on your opinion. It's basically the technology. The engines are based on the old V2 missile. Now some of it was secret, though. We know there was people involved in mind control and that were taken from Germany to the US. They were operating under a fake name. There's a guy called some very, very infamous figures in history, such as the Butcher of Belsen. What was his name? But he was did human experiments on prisoners.
Oh, I know the one. I can see his face.
Name will come to me in a minute. But he was basically taken to the United States, where he worked under a fake identity called William Green. He eventually died in 1987, I believe. But he worked secretly for the US government for a very, very long time.
That's right. He died in South America. I think it was he drowned or something. I know. Sorry, he had the big C. What was his name now?
Whenever I try, can't think of a name. I just don't think about it for a while, and eventually pops back into my head.
Yeah, I can see. It wasn't Klaus Bauer.
No,
it was another one. It was. There was a film about it. A bad film, a terrible.
The Boys
film.
from Brazil.
Yeah, crap it was.
They were cloning. It's like cloning Mr. H. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a bit silly, but the Mengele, Joseph Mengele. There you are.
That's the one.
If you can't think of someone's name, just don't think about it for a while, and it'll pop back into your head.
Yeah. Mengele.
But he did horrible things. Like he literally had an infinite supply of human subjects, non-consensual human subjects he could do experiments on. So he did. And so he took these prisoners that were in the concentration camps, and he used them, and as a result he became very successful. And this guy was a monster. He was like a torturer and a killer. He should have gone to Nuremberg and to the gallows, but instead he was secretly whisked out of the country to the US, given a fake identity, allowed to work in various universities and on secret projects for the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense.
Well, what about I think it's around about 100 U-boats after the war just went missing.
Yeah, and some
nobody
of them
knows what's happened.
Some of them had some top people on.
That's right, and there's a story. It's a Shaggy Dog story. It's not true. That I think it was about 3 years after the war, a fishing boat was out, and this U-boat surfaced. I think it's about 1947. And did an exchange of fish and things like that. And the crew looked a bit rough. And they said, right, we're on our way somewhere else. And this happened, say, 3 years after the war. So where this U-boat had been and where it's going to is anyone's mystery. Yeah. They're quite polite and very nice people on board. But they looked a bit sort of bedraggled. Their uniforms were a bit sort of tatty and, But nobody knows what happened. I mean, there's loads of situations where things went missing. Exo says, I am a Shark Hunters member. That's right, Shark Hunters. I think that is that a German chap that runs that, looks at all the U-boats. That's what I heard. Again, I'm only acting as like a messenger of, I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just passing the message, and that's it. But there's lots of mysteries like this. I mean, especially like things like the pyramid, Bigfoot, cryptozoology, and my belief is you'll have one genuine case and the authorities will muddy the waters with 3 or 4 crap cases to muddy the waters deliberately.
Well, it just helped. Like if people are getting too interested in one subject, you've got to make it unattractive in some way.
I live near the Lee Valley, and there's been Bigfoot sightings around the Lee Valley.
I've heard of that. Yeah, Deborah Hatswell has been talking about it.
Right.
She studies the British Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yes.
But like, if you heard of Operation High Jump?
Yes, that was in the Arctic, wasn't it?
Antarctic,
sorry, and it was Admiral Byrd.
That's right. Yes, Admiral Byrd, and several others, Admiral Cruzen and Admiral Forrestal. Now, they went to Antarctica in 1946 to supposedly they wanted to set up a scientific base and maybe prospect for minerals. Now, in order to do this, they went with the biggest naval task force since the war just ended.
That's right.
Aircraft carriers, battleships, submarines, thousands of personnel, and also assault troops, Marines, people like that. Now, you don't need a massive naval task force to set up a base. Indeed, the base they set up is still there. It's called McMurdo Sound. well, you could set bases up without all that military hardware. When they got back, something strange happened, because two of those men, Admiral Byrd and Admiral Forrestal, ended up in psychiatric care. They were denounced as madmen. And Forrestal, apparently, he jumped to his death. I mean, I described this scene. There's a scene in my book that kind of describes it. Forrestal was on the 14th floor of the Bethesda Naval Medicine Institution in a psychiatric care. Now, I know from being a hospital porter, you don't have windows that open on a psychiatric ward when it's that high up.
Mm.
But he did. He opened the window and just climbed out and jumped to his death. Despite the fact he was, like I said, under psychiatric care. I've had to pull people off window ledges in my time. You know?
Really?
Yeah, and I actually met a guy. I mean, in 2006, I met this guy. He contacted me through a forum, and he said, "Oh yeah, there was a British task force the following year, 1947." And he says, "I know because I was in it."
Oh, this is interesting, because there's an article in Nexus about something like this.
Exactly. I'd actually been talking about that Nexus article on a forum when this
Nexus magazine. I'm talking about. Yeah.
Nexus. Yeah. He contacted me, and I met him, and he spoke to me. And he's this nice old guy. He liked playing dominoes, and he just told me his story. And he said, "Yeah, there was an assault on the New Swabia base. New Swabia was a part of Antarctica that was claimed by the Germans." Now, what happened? And Hitler was there for a while. Oh, I said his name. Sorry. The painter and decorator, was there for a while.
Austrian painter and decorator. Yeah.
And then he apparently went to South America after that, and he died a few years later. But what's interesting is that after they set up this base and they were prospecting for minerals, the mineral operation completely stopped. The base remained, but then there was a few years later there was the Antarctic Treaty that prevented any territorial claims to the Antarctic. It's still in force today.
Can't get there,
yeah. Yeah, and so no territorial claims, but also no access to the continent at all without approval. You want to go there, you can't just go. You can't just make your own. Obviously, the harsh climate is a hindrance, but also, you know, even if you like brought warm clothes with you and you had a very carefully planned operation, you couldn't go without permission. And there's certain places you have to tell them where you're going to go and why. And there's certain areas you can't go to. Because so what are they hiding?
Precisely.
They're hiding something, aren't they?
They certainly are. And John Hamer, and a friend of his, has written a book about this.
Yes, Nathan and I met him, didn't we?
Yes.
Nathan and I know him, yeah.
Can't think of the name of the book now. But the thing is, there is something about Antarctic, because of the Antarctic Treaty, because all the atlases changed in 1959, didn't they? And if you get an atlas prior to 1959, it's different to a modern atlas.
How about that, yeah. I'm afraid I'm going to have to head off in a couple of minutes.
That's okay. Don't worry. That's okay. And remember to open the window when you come out, okay?
I will. But it's been really good to talk to you all.
It's been fantastic. That's all right. I might keep. Thank you for coming on, Ben. And you're a regular now, so anytime you want to come on, please feel free. I've got my guest list. Guest list here. And again, anybody that wants a hero, bowler hat farmer, I'm not sure. We'll have to debate that with a bowler, because has he bravely stood up against opposition? I don't know.
No, I've heard about this, but I don't know much about him. But
I'll have to sleep on that one. You know, it's a
all right.
We'll put it's your decisions. We'll put bowler hat farmer.
I will Exo. I will Exo. Exo's talking about the Paranormal Peep Show. Yeah, that's where me and David are going to be on. David's going to be on my show too as well. We're both broadcasting it. But the Paranormal Peep Show with Neil Ward and Andrew Chaplin. Yeah, do check that out. That out. But thanks all of you. It's been it's been good talking to you guys, and the great chat. I've been sort of looking at the comments through one eye and keeping one eye there, and there's some good comments. So even if I didn't reply to them, I really do appreciate them. And for everyone who's been there, such as Exo and Aunt Sally and Hachi and Lucy Brown and Alice.
Great to see you.
Thanks
Ben.
very much. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you. And as I say, please come on again soon. You're always welcome on. It's an open microphone.
Thanks. I'll book another time. That's fantastic.
Anyway, I'm going to carry on for a little while. See you, Ben. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Anyway, you'll have me solo for a little while. And if anybody wants to come on, please say, and I'll send the studio link. What I'm going to speak about is, as I say, this idea of heroes. What is a hero? Not necessarily a hero. I think, I don't like these awards. Like, yeah, here's awards for this, there's all that. And you notice that psychos like awarding each other things. But I think if you do it verbally, it's probably better in many ways. And this is what I'm looking at. So far, as a top as a top up, I'll just go to my book. Does anybody else use a diary? I'm on right. It's Father Morsley. He's an outspoken Catholic priest. You can actually, if you're tapping him to Rumble, you'll find him. I'm not sure. I think he's on Odyssey as well, but I'm not sure about that. And I think he might be on BitChute, but I don't think you'll find him much on YouTube. He talks about something we're not allowed to talk about that happened during World War II. Larkin Rose, he is the man that is against government and talks about anti-government. Michael Jones is a writer and broadcaster, and he actually Patrick put him forward. Candace Owens, we got George Galloway. I would well, first one put that in. It's not up to me. It's up to you in chat. So it's not up to me. So that's George Galloway. Ben Emlyn-Jones, I'll put him in because he was a hospital porter and he got the sack from being a hospital porter, and he stood up for what he believed in, even though he didn't say about, he was talking about conspiracies, investigations, but he didn't do that at work. But he still got booted out because they found out what he was posting on the internet, which again was not illegal, what he was posting. And the bowler hat farmer, your people's choice. So there we go. And hang on. I like what exposes. Oh yes. Yes. That's the biro that was invented in 1952. There's a time slip with that diary, wasn't there? But we can't talk about that. No. Yes, was it? I used her invention today. Yes, marvelous. Yes, and Ashmose say brain lollerin. Sorry, I can't pronounce all that. Sorry about that. I hope you don't think I'm rude. We love the gorgeous George. Okay, that's fine by me. Good man. High tech stuff. Now, Sarah or Ben? So let's have a look. Now, anybody else you'd like to nominate? So again, this will be on my Telegram channel, and we'll announce the winner next Sunday. Okay, and I will keep it on there as long as possible. And when you want to vote, please vote. I'm not saying who I'm voting for, but although you probably can guess, because as I say, we got Dr. Meyerhill, we got Bowler Hat Farmer, Ben Emlyn-Jones, George Galloway, Ian Michael Jones, Larkin Rose, Father Morsley. So there we go. There's quite a lot there to go to put down. So now John Hamer has been speaking truth to power for years. You want to put him down? Okay. Put him down then, Paul. So we say John Hamer. There we are, John Hamer. I'll put him down if you want. And yes, why not? I'd like to nominate Keir Starmer for refusing to stand down in the face of extreme adversity. Now, is John Irwin the bloke who wrote that daft book? I haven't the foggiest idea. John Irwin. The only Irwin I know is that bloke that got killed in Australia. Was he killed by a stingray or something, wasn't he? His name wasn't John Irwin. His name was something Steve Irwin, something Irwin. Don't know. That's it. But now, as for guests on future shows, I'm going to contact Jerry Mowinski and try and get Mark Passio on. So they're the two. David and someone said David Icke's son, Gareth Icke. Yes, he's a bit high profile and he has so many emails. He has to really go through them. But I think I did say, I can't remember if I sent to him or not. Can't remember. I'll have to look back on my emails. But if I didn't, I'll give it another try. Okay. Now, David Icke. Well, yeah, I could see where he wants to come on. Oh, by the way, hang on. Do you want to nominate him? Is he a nominee or to come on the show? You know. And hang on a minute, we got someone coming on. It's a ghost voice. It's Paulie. Hello, Paul. How's things? All right, mate. Hang on.
They're all right, mate. Yeah, absolutely fine. Feel chipper. Dreadfully cold, dark. It's a bloody horrible evening here, I'll tell you. Started off lovely today. I always like to talk about the weather, don't I? My knees are a bit cold, but no, I'm okay. I'm cool. Nice show there with Ben.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, we got nominees here. And you got your knees.
You've got nominees. I've got cold knees, and you've got nominees, right?
You got me nominees. Yes, we got here Father Molesley, Lark and Rose, E. Marple Jones, Dr. Myhill, Candy Sowens, George Galloway. It's not my choice. Ben Emlyn-Jones, Bowler Hat Farmer, John Hamer, David Icke. So heroes who's get the Hero Award or the Bravery Award. So there we go. Can't put Survival Steve because he won it last year, and we can't put Monica. What's her name? Monica Schaefer down because she won it the year before. Exo says Eric has knobbly knees. Yes, I won the 1976 Butlins knobbly knees contest. Can you imagine them having the knobbly knees contest today? With all this political correctness and things.
Politically correct knees?
Yes. Cocker knees. Did you ever see Spike Milligan and the cocker knees?
These are the cocker knees, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Yes. I remember that. Yeah, he did a documentary on them as if they were a soon-to-be liquidated African tribe, didn't he?
That's right. That's right.
And, of course, they've gone now. They really don't exist, I suppose, very much in the East End of London anymore.
Well, you listen to Bowler Farmer, you'd think he was a Cockney, but he's from Suffolk. That's what gets me. He speaks real Cockney, doesn't he?
Well, he sort of does. Yeah, he was down in London the weekend, wasn't he? Maybe he's just developing his accent even further. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan, I have to say. I probably just put some people's noses out of joint, but it's not an accent I particularly warm to.
I can't stand it. It's horrible. I can't stand Cockney. I hate it. Horrible accent. Terrible. Seriously, it is.
Yeah.
And that and South African. It's a sort of a bit flat, you know. You get the
South African's really grown on me. I must admit, I really like South African. I guess it's like anybody. It all depends who's saying it. You know, any accent can be good if it's said sort of right.
I worked with a Rhodesian bloke. We used to say, "Oh, you came from Zimbabwe." No, it's bloody Rhodesia where I came from. And there was something about two words that he mentioned that three of us, it hit our funny bone. And one of the words was bicycle and the rhino. He said, I went on my bicycle and I saw some rhinos. And I don't know why, it's funny. And he said, you're taking the piss out of my accent. You know, what's wrong with my accent? You know.
Yeah. Can I make a comment on a comment or can I read a comment out?
Yeah, Eric? Why not? Where is your comment then?
It's interesting. It's about somebody I know.
Yes, okay.
So don't get upset, Mike. Mike Mantis writes, I got a copy of The 16 from my local library. I remembered it well, as under the author name on the inside page, someone had written in biro, a.k.a. Walter Mitty. I kid you not. No, well, I know John reasonably well, Mike. And it's obviously a criticism that's been thrown his way quite a bit. And when I first spoke to him, which is probably about 10 years ago, I've not spoken to him for a few years. I've been busy putting my trousers on and things like that, and he's had a few things to deal with. I must get back in touch with him. I'd love to get him on the show, actually. when I first spoke to him, I had to go off and check certain things about him. I thought, because he was kind of out there a bit. He got featured in newspapers quite a bit, maybe 12, 15 years or so ago. And I think some of the people that interviewed him tended to exaggerate things about what he was doing. Although in terms of what he has done and what he knows, and I'm completely okay with him. His life's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And it's not Walter Mitty at all. It's probably even stranger than that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's an astonishing tale.
Is he this like SAS type bloke? Not SAS, but
yeah,
he's in a special force.
He eats SAS men for breakfast. That sounds a ridiculous thing. I mean, he's in his 80s now. But so I better not get Survival Steve on because he might get his... No, I don't know what he means. But John's an extremely engaging character. He really is. And because he's lived it. He's lived something. And you've got to sort of get to the bottom of it. And the thing is, he's not doing it for ego or anything like that. It was, he was just part of something that's really quite exceptional, I think. And these things have gone on. I'm convinced of it. Strange things take place down here.
Well, Miles, he knows.
I'd like to, Mike. Mike's just commented again. Sorry, Eric. Okay. I'm over talking you. Yeah, I'll see if I can chase him up. I've been quite busy, and I don't know quite how he is. He's had a lot of he's had a lot of sort of criticisms about things. The book is written in a particular way. It's full of typos. When I read it, am I right, old? I'm going, oh, bloody hell. Let's get this proofread. But I'll tell you, Eric, you'd find him, he's absolutely fascinating as a guy. Really? If he's on for talking again, yeah.
That sounds fascinating.
It is. I mean, what's his name? There's a guy called Miles Johnston who's kind of hysterical, I think. I mean, I think he's a good-hearted fellow. And I remember speaking to Miles, maybe, I don't really hang around that kind of circle in the sense that I think it's, there's a huge amount of conspiracy stuff that they want to talk about. I'm not averse to that, by the way. I'm really into conspiracy analysis.
Investigation.
Which is really what I think we are.
We're conspiracy investigators. I mean,
we are.
What gets
we're
me,
analysts.
though, what gets me is when these people talk about things where they haven't got not any proof at all. And I mean, I had some character, I won't say it was many years ago, who was obviously had too much stuff up his nose. So I went down these mines and
didn't he have a handkerchief?
He should have blown it. Yes, I saw these aliens coming out at me, and I said, I thought, yes, mate, yeah, very nice. And I was sort of, you get a lot of that, and I think there's also a lot of mud in the ether, shall we say, to put you off. It's like with crop circles and things like that. For every one genuine crop circle, there's about.
I've got a story about mines and aliens for you as well. I do. From another source. Can I read another comment now, Eric? Look, I'm muscling in on this. Alice writes, I want to acknowledge this. She says, Paul, I played my mum your reading of Grandad's letter today. She said, how dramatic. Can't believe he said bloody. Did I? Or your granddad did. I was only reading what was written there. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've got a foul-mouthed granddad or dad, I don't know what to say, really, Alice. It's shocking. Bloody.
Bloody hell. That was very rude, wasn't it?
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell. That's why they used to say ruddy, not bloody. It's always ruddy.
Yeah, my dad did. And then it got to bloody. And then it got to bloody bugger. We never got the F word out of my dad, ever. Maybe once, I think. Not that we were trying to get it out of him. Somebody once called my dad the C word and he decked him. That's how it was like back then. Yeah, just laid him out. My dad wasn't a big guy. He just couldn't stand that sort of stuff. So, he came home. He said, I had to hit someone today. I said, all right. It's very funny. I was only about 12 or something at the time. I was very impressed. I thought, oh, Dad, you're quite punchy.
Oh, yeah, he was. They were tough guys, real tough guys.
Well, they were really decent. They were all military. They'd all been in the bloody war and stuff. And so they all sort of like, I don't know what it was. I loved it. Anyway, there was still that sort of frisson of chivalry running around in the atmosphere.
Unarmed combat. I mean, my dad, he was taught unarmed combat because they were always surrounded by the enemy because they were frontline intelligence. So they had to learn like commando unarmed combat. And he taught me a little bit about it, and it's pretty gory.
It's all, John's stuff's pretty gory as well. It's not good.
It's not.
He doesn't have a problem with it.
Luckily, he never had to use it. Luckily, he didn't have to use it. But he said that he was walking down Euston underpass once, and there was a load of youths eyeing people up to mug them, and he was on his own. Youths, and they said, let him go, because they could see my dad had square shoulders, and my dad never showed off anything like that. He said if they would have attacked, they wouldn't have been able to have children afterwards. That's all he said.
It's a terrible thing. It's not like, I just think it's not like it used to be. Everybody's carrying, well, I get the impression so many people are carrying knives and stuff. The idea is just, there's no good outcome to those things at all. Even if you defend yourself successfully, you're probably in court 6 months later, aren't you, or something? Yeah. And they'll just do, so the idea is to just get out of the way. It ain't cowardice; it's complete common sense. You're not going to sort of change someone's mind or opinion with a few swings of your fist. And it's exhausting. Is fighting. If you've ever seen it, people just get knackered. They watched it on TV. They think I could box for an hour. Yeah, right. It's absolutely exhausting.
It is exhausting. And I'll tell you something else. I work with a black belt judo bloke, and he said the first thing they teach you is don't worry about saving face, save yourself. And if you can get away, get away. You only use judo if you're cornered and you cannot get away. Otherwise, use your mouth to speak, calm the situation down, as Survival Steve does. He calms the situation down. That's what he's taught in his training.
Pass out some cigarettes, or some shag, or some nice cake, or something.
Yes,
make polite conversation. Remark upon the weather. Yes. Yeah, compliment them on their trousers. Anything like that.
Yes,
that's a fine pair of trousers. Anything,
or the Clint Eastwood
anything
way.
At all. Yeah.
I like the Clint Eastwood way when a chap comes up behind him and he turns around and says, "You're going to look mighty strange with that knife sticking out your ass."
You were talking about somebody had something up his nose and was talking about aliens coming out of mines.
Oh yeah. I had this character on years ago, and he's spoken a bit like this, and a bit as if he's pissed. And this bloke went on for about an hour, and I was sort of going, just sort of keep myself. It's difficult to keep yourself awake. He had a very good imagination.
You did that very well, Eric. Very well. I'm just making a little note here that if we ever do a sort of radio drama show, you could play that character. You can play many roles, but that would be one. Yeah.
What a druggie.
He's just come in the pub. Right, yeah, fantastic. That's brilliant.
And,
can I tell you my mining story about aliens?
Certainly. Well, Mike Martis says a certain Austrian painter recommended young men train in boxing and jiu-jitsu. So there we go.
Yes. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu. Absolutely. Yes. I trained a lot in origami, but it was later on.
Origami.
You trained origami's quite. Yeah, I'll come at you with a glider. Look at this, and you make them a little thing, and you give it. That's what you do. Yeah, it's a nice present. That diffuses the situation.
Yeah, it sort of folds you up a bit, doesn't it?
Oh, nobody's ever given me a present before. Yeah, look at that. It's a little deer hopping around. Anyway, a guy that I worked with in the 90s, he had a lot. He's the guy that showed me all the stuff about banking. Like really showed it to me, literally with documents and things that he was working on and stuff like that. It wasn't sort of like a theory. He was actually involved in it on a day-to-day basis. He was telling me, because he had a lot of connections in the military, because he was very cross about what had happened to the military over here. It kind of coincides as well with what John was up to during the late 50s, early 60s, because one of the things they were doing was dealing with black hats, the subversion of the British military. He was on a sort of countervailing force. So it was like internecine warfare within the same organisation. There's a bit of that going on. But Ray told me of there's a place in northern India that was discovered by British engineers in the military engineers about 1961. It's probably been covered, I suppose, somewhere on a YouTube channel and maybe taken down or whatever. I have no idea why they would take it down, but it's probably been covered. They came to this valley and there were these tunnels in it, and they went into these tunnels, and he couldn't tell me a great deal about it, except they were vast. They were huge, these tunnels, a lot of them. But the channels, the actual tunnel itself was laser accurate, literally. So the walls of it was as if it had been melted out. It was completely smooth all on the inside. They were thousands of years old, these things, and they'd just been cut straight out of the rock. They had to they sealed the area off pretty damn quick, because you don't want the natives finding out about this sort of thing, do you?
That's right.
Or us, or anybody like that. I suspect there's so much stuff floating around in the earth that you and I are never going to see, because we spend all our time sitting here on our backsides looking at computer screens.
That's right.
But I wouldn't have too much, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, that's interesting. That is fascinating, because there's lots of stuff in the military. I mean, for example, there was many years ago when I had a television, there's an architectural show where there's an architect on there, and he just casually mentioned, he said, and I can't remember the exact distance, but he said something like, "You're never further than 5 miles from a secret underground tunnel in this country." Then he carried on with the show, talking about architecture. Never more than 5 miles. That's something.
Yeah, well, this guy that I work with had bought a nuclear bunker. I think I told you, didn't I? He bought a bunker from a farmer in Essex. So when the Cold War started, the government built a whole network of underground bunkers around London that, should they get warning that missiles were on the way, they were to get in some kind of, I guess, an underground train or something, or whatever they had. And there was a whole sort of contingency plan set up for the ongoing management of the nation should incoming missiles strike targets. And they'd obviously become abandoned or disused. So he bought one off a farmer in Essex.
I think I know where that is. It's called the Secret H-bomb shot, and you can go there, and film companies use it to film all kinds of films. And there was a documentary done about it by what was her name now? It's on YouTube. I think it's on there. Yeah,
and there's loads of them around London. There's tons. I saw someone do one. Somewhere in North London as well. And you've got this sort of like, I don't know, it's almost like a pillar box on the ground. You open it up and you go down. There's a big spiral staircase, a massive sort of facility under.
That's right. And all the buildings
need to be
were
buying
33.
them. We could run a radio station from there and set up a nice library and serve, and have lots of clotted cream and stuff, underground clotted cream bunkers. That'd be just fantastic.
But and all the entrances were number 33.
Were they?
Yes, there's a chap that's gone into it. Smith something or other. What was it? He's actually on YouTube, and he said all the entrances are 33, which is very weird.
Exo says, like the hypogeum. Have I pronounced that correct, Exo? I quite like saying it like the hypogeum in Malta. I've not been to the hypogeum. I hope it's not the hippogeum. That's horrible. But the hypogeum sounds great. No current technology could have carved it. Now, there's just these big bloody stones everywhere. When you look at them and go, why do you have to have it that big? How big were you? I do think that the answer really is just giants. I'm serious. I just think it's big lads. They go, yeah, we can move that. It's easier. Just pick it up. I mean, if you're 30 foot tall, it's not a problem, is it, really? You've got a lot of leverage. I imagine it's not a problem. And John Irwin. John Irwin's the one that talks. Yeah, he talks a lot about the pyramids. Yeah, what's that?
He's the one that discovered Swillinson.
Swilliams, yes, he's good. He's good, isn't he?
He does some good videos, and he found out about that number 33. But now we've got SXIS soldier Rusty Furman has made some interesting comments about underground military bases. I think he was the one that wrote the SAS guide, wasn't it? Also mentioned he couldn't progress too high in the military due to not being a Mason. Now that's interesting. I didn't know that, because I know that there's rivalry between the commandos and SAS, because Miles Fleetwood, Dr. Fleetwood, he actually helped some commandos with their health and that, and he knows them. He got to know them, and well, he said that you mentioned the SAS term, they go load of fairies and things like that, and the SAS say the same about the commandos.
They all do, don't they?
Yeah.
I should imagine.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Now, I'm not sure. This is Mike Mantis. Says, I'm not sure there was an underground mustard gas production facility in Wales from World War II. That's quite interesting. But did you ever get the hum where you live? What's called the hum? You got this.
What is this? You mean when I have an attack of spontaneous happiness and I start going, No,
Or
you
Brussels
don't mean
sprout.
that, do you?
I get it when I have Brussels sprouts. People
Oh,
go,
you're talking
"Bloody
about
hell, what
the
a hum."
olfactory hum, aren't
Yes,
you?
no, it was this hum which if you couldn't record it, but you just heard this. It sounded like a plane flying through low cloud. This that went on for hour after hour.
Really?
Drove-
No,
yeah.
I've not. We've
It's
not
called
had
the
any humming
hum.
down here. No, sorry.
That's interesting.
And I hope
Anybody
we
else
don't
had a
get
hum?
any. It doesn't sound too pleasant, actually.
It wasn't. And my sister and brother-in-law, who I no longer speak to, they actually had it, and they got people in on it. They contacted local council, everything, and they just got nowhere. They were just fobbing it off all the time. They actually went there when it was humming, and they went, "Oh yeah," and it's just sort of, it's just low pitch. You can't record it. You just won't pick it up on a recorder. But you just can't get away from it. It just goes all the time, and it went all the way from, I think it was King's Lynn, Cambridge, came down through Hertfordshire, through London, through South London, and ended up in Canterbury. This hum, some people plotted it along, and they reckon it might have been a underground drilling a tunnel. So, because yes, hang on, Exo said there's a BBC ELF waves, so could be ELF. There we go. So we are. So you haven't had a hum around where you are, mind you. You're on the coast, aren't you?
Yeah, we're a bit humless on the coast. Bit humless.
Very, very homeless. Yes, there's no hums around the coast, is there?
Yeah, we are the humless round here.
Yes. Homeless,
so there's lots of
humless.
humless people. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. That's
No,
right.
nothing
Now,
too exciting as hums.
How are you on mysteries? I mean, do you believe that the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, actually built the pyramids? I don't. I think another culture did. I do not believe they did. And also Stonehenge, which you're not too far away from. How did they cut those little nobules on top of the rocks when they only had hands?
I think they had little nobule cutters. I'm not sure about that, but I think they were equipped with little nobule cutters. I think that the Egyptian thing is, I've got some amazing books yet to read. What's the one? The Light of Egypt by an English guy, went out there from Cornwall. Self-taught, wrote these amazing books all about it, measured everything up. There's some stunning stuff. I think it's Atlantean technology, whatever we might mean by that term. So it's something much older, I think, although it's difficult to tell. I don't know how, they say that the water erosion, the rain erosion on the back of the Sphinx indicates that it's at least 10,000 BC.
That's right.
It may well be that the Egyptians were alive back then, but I'm not aware of it, because I thought the civilization that preceded that was the Sumerians, and there's other ones. Oh, we like the Sumerians, yeah, and our clay tablets, they're absolutely fantastic.
The Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. There we go. Got the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. But they reckon there's a journalist, I can't remember his name, who believes that we had an advanced civilization 10,400 years ago that was wiped out by a natural catastrophe, and a few of them survived. A catastrophe, and a few of them survived. And those few that survived went round primitive cultures, because it's only the primitive cultures that could survive such a catastrophe, and shared their technology with them. And they reckon the ancient Egyptians, they used this stuff that a previous advanced generation had built. They used it.
Well, I've got a big book to read. Actually, I've got more than one. They're all over the place. I've read plenty, but I keep buying more. And go, oh God, I want to read them. There was a guy called it's called The Shining Ones. You can buy it now. There is a publisher for it, by Christian and Joy O'Brien. And Christian O'Brien worked for BP in the interwar years. You know, when they sort of decided to cut into all those square to create conflicts. Of course, it was designed specifically for that. But he was a geologist, and he did a lot of work for BP out there for donkey's years. And I think he retired about 1970, something like that. And whilst he was there, he filled up a lot of his spare time by really investigating the area more thoroughly from a geological point of view and all sorts of things. And the Shining Ones, part of the book is that he has located the Garden of Eden. It's a physical place. And he taps it back into a lot of these sorts of illustrations from Sumerian civilization, where you have got giants, you've got giant figures. Everybody says, well, this is symbolic to depict that they're the leaders, but I think it's really that they were just much bigger. And growing crops, animal husbandry, the whole thing to do with the food supply and the management of it. And there is that story over and over of this great deluge. Maybe there's more than one. And these bearded people arriving all over the place, like a wave that had gone out.
With a handbag, with a funny handbag. They all have a funny handbag.
Well, we've all got those now, haven't we, really? Yeah, but I know what you mean.
But no, seriously, all these different cultures show this bearded figure with a handbag, from the Aztecs right the way through. Which is
the Aztecs, the name they've given it, is it the Aztecs, or certainly in Middle America, it's that name, Quetzalcoatl. Who comes up with a name like that? Why can't it be called Bob? Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl. That's a name, isn't it? Anyway, he had a beard. He came out of the sea. It's why fish feature prominently in lots of symbology for all sorts of reasons, and taught them how to irrigate the fields, to grow crops, rotation of crops, all this kind of stuff. Because if we didn't know that stuff, it'd be a bit alarming, wouldn't it, be a bit alarming. I often wonder who it was who created bread, who baked the first loaf of bread. What we do is get this, you put a bit of yeast in it, do that. Yeah, there you go, bread. It's an idea. It's just a thought that occurred to me. It's quite
the poor sod that found out some mushrooms are poisonous. You know, it must have been some poor sod that ate them and died. Oh, bleed, no, don't eat them.
You don't want to eat this. Oh.
Shit.
Don't eat this.
Rex
bad news.
Warhead Rex says Doggerland, it once existed. Yeah, it exists around the corner where I live. They call it Dogging Land. Oh, sorry, Doggerland. Yes, Dogland. Yes. I think
the stretch from where you are, Eric, the stretch of water from here to Holland. What's that called? Is that the English Channel? Is it still called that?
Channel.
That high up?
Yeah, it's the English Channel. Yeah. Yes, but it's actually the Netherlands, because Holland is in
it's not
part
that deep.
Of the Netherlands.
It's not. It's not that deep. It's not that deep, and it was. There's loads of roads in there and everything before this sort of inundation took place, something like that. Anyway, I think there's been a lot of. I think this place has been around a long time. I think there's been lots of civilizations going back probably hundreds of thousands of years. So old now, we will probably never find trace of them. But you don't know. With AI, anything's possible. They can work out everything in the end, I suppose.
It is. Have you seen AI? How it's written? About the show afterwards? It's fantastic. It looks as if it's written by a really advanced journalist. It is really brilliant. You know, I
don't read it. I just check the first line, make sure there's no spelling errors. Go, oh, well, at least your punctuation's okay. That'll do.
It's bloody brilliant. You'd think a really good journalist had written it. You know. Here we are. Exo said people used to walk it apparently to Netherlands. I mean,
yeah, I think so. Right across the stretch, there's a name for it, isn't there? I can't remember what the old name for it is, but yeah, it's there.
Now, Rusty Furman was gloves off going into the embassy siege. Oh, he was into that, was he? He did that, you know. Now, Rath, what was her name? Stan Roth says Hebrew was a Canaanite Phoenician dialect, Phoenician dialect, akin to Akkadian, Arabic, Berber, and Ge'ez, etc., i.e., Semitic. Yes, and why is it that a lot of Cornish seaside towns have got what was it now? Hebrew names. That's a very strange thing. Why is that? And there's people do believe that the Ark of the Covenant came ashore in Cornwall and is buried somewhere in Wales.
Alan Wilson says he knows where it is. Well, he did whilst he was alive. I downloaded a big interview with Alan Wilson the other day and tidied up the audio because I want to get his stuff.
And it's shame both of them, Beckett and
Well, he
Wilson,
didn't have
are
a.
dead.
He had a. I don't know what happened to him in the end. He made 90 or 92. That's not bad. I think he did. But the other guy, Baron Blackett, died in a house. They all sort of came to sort of grief. And I think their story is right. There's been this, when he's saying that there's this sort of effusive academic tradition of idolizing the Roman thing, when you listen to Alan, you don't get that impression. It's different. It's just different. And the other guy that's worth reading, which is a stretch, is Comins Beaumont. He's definitely worth a read. Britain, the Key to World History. Yeah. He was a newspaper writer for The Standard or some big major London newspaper, maybe a national paper in the 1910s, the 1920s. But in his part-time, he was a researcher into what has come to be called catastrophism. And he's really the godfather of it. He was the first guy ever to look at these colossal events that had shaken terra firma and by extension, therefore, the civilizations of the day. And I suppose Graham Hancock is in a line from him, although he might sort of poo-poo some of Beaumont's ideas.
Yes, because he believes there was an advanced civilization.
Well, I think he's proven it. I don't think it's a belief. I think there's just basically a lot of stuff. You might not want to say what it is, but it's built by human hands. Of course, certain people in museums get cross about this, but we get cross about certain people in museums, don't we? So it's, fair's fair. But I think, Comins Beaumont wrote some amazing stuff. It's really interesting. Particularly the one that really is sort of, I've yet to really go into fully. I've just had it recounted to me and skimmed a few pages, is that the whole of all of the events of the Bible took place in these islands. They took place here.
Oh, yes. And was it the English are the true Israelites?
Well, yeah, I don't know whether he goes, but, I hold that opinion as well. I do hold that view. I'll have to call it that for now. I think it's actually proven. It's just not well known.
Stone says Phoenicians colonised British Isles.
Yep.
David Marishi. Ancient and modern Britons.
McCritchie.
And him as well.
David
and him
McCritchie.
As well.
Yeah.
Yes. David McCritchie. Ancient and modern Britons. That's it.
Yeah. And there's another book by a guy called, I can't remember his name. It's called We the Scythians. Skythians. Another English or Scots author. Brilliant stuff. Really interesting stuff. But they're really weird. They never taught me this at school, right? So I'm from Yorkshire, right? And we all come from up there. And you've got York Minster, which is pretty impressive building. And outside it, there's a statue of Constantine, Emperor Constantine of the Roman Empire. And the reason is that he grew up in Yorkshire.
Really?
Aye.
He up.
It spoke just like this. He said, "Hey, get off that, you twat," and stuff like that. That's it before. And his mother was here with
rhubarb
him.
and custard. Yeah, rhubarb and custard and all that.
So, he's kicking about. He's having a right good old time eating gooseberries and things like this. And his mum rocks up. She says, "Love, you're going to be emperor." Oh, bloody hell. So, according to Beaumont, anyway, this is just very general. I haven't read it yet. According to Beaumont, he got trained, as it were, in all these stories, these tales of what had happened that are written in these books. You see, the Druids are really important. They're really, really important, this Druidic thing. It's much of the feeling of it as well, is much of that shot through into Gandalf, for example, in Lord of the Rings, all of this of mythological, natural thing. I don't know what words to use. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So, that's for another day. Yes. But, and so what they did when he was having a lot of trouble in that part of the world, in the Middle East, so he transported the whole story there, because he was the governor of the council at Nicaea when they decided which books would go into the Bible and which books would not. And he was dictatorial about it. He said, what goes in is what I say, right? And the idea is that they actually took a cross or took certain relics from here and stuck them over there and rewrote the stories. Now, the truth is, you and I wouldn't know. I mean, there was no press of the day. Very few people could actually really read and write. It'd be possible to pull the wool over people's eyes. I won't put nothing past nobody, really, that's in positions of power.
Because there is something magic about these isles. Seriously, I mean, I know that Spanish.
There are.
Look at Cornwall. In part of their folklore tradition, they say long ago in haunted Cornwall, because they believe that Cornwall was a very haunted place. And what is it that attracts people here? There is something strange that attracts people to this country.
I think there's something, a very sort of positive, buoyant energy, if we could just get rid of these oiks that are wrecking it. But I think also, you've got musical instruments. So I love bagpipes. I love them. My mother hated them for some reason. I never understood why. I found them wonderfully melancholic and haunting, and the sound of sort of empty forests and things, and military campaigns and stuff. They're an amazing instrument. Well, you used to get Cornish bagpipes, and then if you keep going around the coastline, Spain have got bagpipes. They're a smaller version.
My uncle had one. And these bagpipes, what he had, he didn't have bagpipes. I'm serious here. He had his cat. He put the cat on his shoulder and bit the tail.
Yeah, I think the drone that's in it. The sub drone, that tone, that drone. I just love that. I just like the droning. Yeah. And I think what you're hearing as well. Is the instrument that would have been used by the Israelite armies in all these battles in the Old Testament. That was their battle horn. That's part of it, right?
Well, I have to agree with Aunt Sally here. She said, I hate the sound of bagpipes. I 100% agree with you.
Get back in your bath, Aunt Sally. Outrageous. Pops out of the bath to send that in. It's outrageous.
Oh my God! And I mean, I was at a funeral the other day, and they played the bagpipes because the chap, he was Scottish, half Scottish.
I'd have cried.
Cried. And
I would.
Well, let's put it this way: it almost cured constipation. That was. It did sound like a cat. That just sort of.
They don't sound good when they're starting up. No, when they're starting up, they do sound comical. But when they get going. Right, and when there's a lot of them, oh boy, man! I tell you, you could take an empire down with that. It's so important, that stuff. There's a reason why they use them. Why they all have sounds and stuff. It's incredible, amazing.
A piper led the Highland Brigade. I think it was the Highland Brigade on D-Day, and the Germans didn't shoot him because they thought the bloke was bonkers. Seriously, I thought he was insane. He's wearing a kilt, and I thought there's a bloke wearing a skirt here with his bagpipes. He must be bonkers. Oh, we've got another one here. Yeah. Mike Mantis, so he doesn't like bagpipes. So there's three
bloody
of us.
Bloody bagpipe haters, a lot of you.
Yeah, I don't like bloody bagpipes. Apart from my uncle's bagpipes, which was the cat over his shoulder going.
Cat pipes. I don't
Cat
know.
pipes, yeah.
Oh, they're grand. I love them. I think they're great.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, just don't know. I don't know why. Maybe I am just a bit strange like that.
Sort of drawl.
I've got some. I don't know how much Celtic blood I've got in me. It's not a great deal. I'm a sort of mix. I think on my father's side from Norway, we sort of traced it back from Norway, but on my mother's side, her mum was an Edwards, and it's shot through into lots of cousins on the borders with Wales and stuff and that. Yeah. And my mum was a really good singer. And so am I still. I used to sing a lot when I was younger, and I sang in the choir, and all that kind of stuff. I picked it up from my mum. My mum just sang full tilt round the house. She didn't hold back. It was fantastic. It was great. My dad loved it as well, particularly when she was cleaning the bath. She'd be up there cleaning the bath, and it would all echo it, that sort of thing. So I kind of grew up with that kind of stuff, really. It's all lovely, and pies. I'm getting all funny. And clotted cream, Alice. Yeah, I have got clotted cream on the brain.
Oh, and also said... She didn't like church organ music either. Church organ music is okay. I don't mind that when it's really big organs that they use.
Yeah, it's got to be big and really loud.
Huge. And you got to hear Rick Wakeman, Six Wives of Henry VIII. He plays a Swiss organ.
Does he?
In a church. And wow. I'm not sure which one it was, but if you listen to the Six Wives of Henry VIII by Rick Wakeman, that was the best LP he ever did. And after that, I think he went downhill. But that was... wow, that one. But no, it's strange.
Look, I've got a supporter in Alice. Yeah, you see, she's up there in the. It's a thing. You're right. They're absolutely tremendous. And I think the frequencies of them. It's the same with these big organs. You know about having a big organ, don't you, Eric?
There's nothing like having a big organ.
There's nothing like having a big organ.
I've got a big organ. I used to have a big organ, but I took it down. Actually, no, my parents loved electronic organs. Now, I'm sorry.
Yeah?
I hate electronic organs because the only people that like the music...
You don't like the Farfisa with
or the Hammonds.
chintzy rhythm. Ding, 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 glee, glee, glee. It's just, yeah, it's like living in a shopping centre. It's just sort of like, please stop that. I don't
horrible.
feel well. It's foul.
The only people that like that music are the ones that are playing it. Everybody else has to suffer it. It's a bit like when you used to go around people's houses and they used to show their holiday slides. Have you ever had that? Hour upon hour of unbelievable boredom. Whilst somebody was playing electronic organ. See, my parents loved the electronic organs, and they said, "Listen, this is a banjo."
Yeah.
It sounded exactly the same, and this is a harp. And my mum used to play. She was very musical. My parents both musical. It didn't. I don't know. It stopped with me. I'm not. But mum and dad used to play. Mum used to play piano, accordion, organ, piano, anything. And my mum, when I was very young, my mum and dad, I went with them to an organ studio.
Were you very young?
Yes.
Were you very young?
I was about 45, yes. And no, and what happened is, being a little sob, my mum was, and I was bored shitless. You know, my mum was playing this electronic organ. I think it's a Farfisa. Ding, 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 ding. And I was thinking, oh, this is so boring. So I just turned well, she didn't notice. I just turned the rhythm up. So she's like, and it's going faster and faster. She's trying to keep up with it until they found out it was me. But the worst one was I used to like electronic organ records. And then my dad brought one home. And I wanted to see a television program about Bigfoot. And they had to listen to that record first before you put the television on. And that record would last for an hour. And I knew that I'd missed that program. So what I decided to do is put it on 45 instead of 33. And it got through the whole one side and halfway through the second side before they noticed. Because the bloke was going, my mum said, it's a bit fast, isn't it? My dad said, oh no, it's the super wow. Because they used to have wow things and special electronic sounds on them. Oh no, it's a super wow. Oh, he's a marvellous player. He's playing so fast. I said, yes, I got to see my show program. I never did see that bloody program because I had a bleeding thing over again, you know. So there we go. But was your parents into electronic organs?
My dad got one later on in life, or I think my mum bought one for him when he retired. Got to his mid-60s, because he could play the piano, but he never played it as an organ. He always just had it tuned to the piano setting. It was just a piano to him. So it was so he didn't do all that sort of chintzy. No, he didn't do any of that.
Oh, my mum did. She's quite a good player, actually. She's a very good player. And my dad was a good player as well. You know, but I'm sorry, it doesn't. I've still got that piano accordion in the loft, actually. I inherited it. Can't play on that bleeding note of it, but it's anyway. And that was from 1937. It might be worth a fortune. I don't know. You know. So.
I wish I'd been given bagpipe lessons as a young lad.
We can.
They didn't teach bagpipe at our school. It was a pity, that, really.
Well, your neighbour's got a cat, haven't they? You can practice on neighbour's cat, can you? Sorry. No, I'm not advocating cruelty. I love animals. It's a joke, all right? It's a laugh.
Yeah.
And I bet you some bastard's going to come back and say, how dare you advocate cruelty to cats? I've had a cat for so many years and I would never be cruel. No, we're not talking about cruelty. I'm sorry, okay? Just laughing, you know. Anyway, carry on, Paul. Sorry. But,
no. Yeah, well, we can't talk about bagpipes all night, but I've got the urge to try. I've never played one. I would imagine that it would be so awful. Yeah, it would be just terrible. It would probably put you off as you were learning to play it. It would be just such an But there was that woman that I've played a couple of times, I've got her name now, who plays the Uilleann pipes, which are just sensational.
Oh, Catherine Tickle.
Yeah.
Is she
Catherine
Tickle?
whatever.
Yeah, and bagpipes.
No, it's not Tickle.
Truth
yeah, she's great.
over lies says truth. Sorry, bagpipes sound awful when played in closed, built-up places. They sound beautiful in the Scottish Highlands. Yes, a long way from me. That's good. Yes, as far north as possible, so we can't hear them. Yeah, sorry. But what about the kilt? I think the kilt is the worst national dress in the history of national dress. Seconded by the Everso Guards in Greece. That is funny. Have you seen the Everso Guards? I have.
It may surprise you, but I'm wearing a kilt right now for the Monday night show.
Blimey, what commando style
really.
as well?
Yeah. Yeah, it reaches the parts of the bits can't reach. Yeah,
Well,
I wouldn't even dare. It's a thing for Scottish men to wear.
And did you
that's
know
that.
lots of English were drafted into Scottish regiments, as both my uncles were. They were English, and they both are drafted into during the war, the Highland Division. And my other uncle, who was a little bit younger, he was conscripted just after the war, said they had to walk over a mirror before they went out because they were not allowed to wear underwear. Seriously. They had to, and they had a very nice Sergeant Major. Oh, and he's nice boy he was. No, seriously, they had to walk over a mirror. And they were not allowed to go upstairs on a bus either. That was something that was illegal. They got put on charge and they went upstairs on a bus and called upstairs. So there we go.
Right. Lovely.
Do you want to hear a rude joke about kilt?
You know, that's what I thought that would really make my Monday.
Yes.
Go on.
There's a young lassie and a Scotch lad looking out over the glen. And they're sitting on a wee fence, you see, and they sit on this wooden fence, and his kilt is, draping round the back, and she gets a little fruity, and she puts her hand up his kilt. She says, "Your googly's really strange. They're all soft and warm." He says, "That's not my goalies. I'm having a shit."
Oh God.
I'm laughing. I've heard it before.
Oh dear. Maybe you could put that in the fucking whole Christmas cracker. With extremely, you should do that. Actually, fuck 'em whole Christmas crackers would be great if you put your jokes in like that. People would be just appalled. That'd be really good. I'm serious. I mean it. It's getting the word out. I'd buy some. You'd give them away to people that you didn't like, maybe, or to try and ruin their Christmas day. If people still pull crackers on Christmas Day, I don't know.
Well, we lost all our Scottish audiences, but no, seriously, I really do think this kilt is the worst national costume in the world. It's horrible. I mean, come on. Or the Eversole Guards in Greece. Have you ever seen Eversole Guards in Greece? They wear a little mini skirt, tights, and shoes with bobbles on them. They do this funny sort of act as they change guards. Yeah, it's really weird. It is. Yeah, you look it up on YouTube and you kill yourself laughing. I've actually seen when I went to Greece. I saw them and I was wee-weeing myself laughing. I was taking a picture of them and I couldn't keep the camera still for laughing. I thought it was so funny, But there we are. So there's my Scottish joke for tonight.
I enjoyed that. That was interesting. Yes, I'm saying I'll try and remember it, but I don't think I'll ever forget it, actually.
Now, Hatchie says the organ is supposedly a healing instrument. Well, yeah. I don't know. I knew an Irish bloke that bought a packet of tampons, and it's still on the side. It said, "Place an organ." He didn't have an organ, so he shoved it in his piano. Sorry, and
no, that's got to go in the Christmas crackers jokes. Instead of them being dad jokes, they've got to be called filthy dad jokes. That's what you're going to have to do. Filthy dad joke version. Yeah.
But now Aunt Sally says, kilts, woolly skirts, and a nightmare to iron. I wouldn't know because I haven't got a kilt. I wouldn't wear one. Even if they paid me, I wouldn't wear one. And do you know Billy Connolly can't stand wearing kilts? And he had to wear it in a film that he was in with, what's it now? I can't remember the name of the film. And he actually hated wearing the kilt. And there's quite a few Scotsmen who don't like wearing kilts. Yes, luckily I'm not Scotch, so I haven't got a kilt. And did you know that the idea of tartans, according to Robert Newman, who was half Scottish, was a Dutch idea that was introduced in the 18th century for tourism. Seriously. That's what he believed. I don't know how true that is. If somebody can do that, I haven't looked into it, so I don't know. but these different Highland tartans and things, it's not very old. And DJB2 says, yes, Mrs. Brown was the film. That's right, yes. Now, Stan Roth said, Homer and Ethiopia was the origins of Greek culture, hence why men are painted with dark skin while women with pale skin. Pythagoras learned geometry from Persians. Did he really?
That's right. Yeah, might well have done. The thing is, Ethiopians 2,000 years ago were not like the people that live in Ethiopia today. They were like that.
That's right. And they got the true Bible, so they say. Oh, and the Ark of the Covenant, so they say.
Well, they may well have, because when the Israelites were on multiple occasions expelled, as it were, or pushed out of that part of the world, often they would go along the north coast of Africa. And so the Barbary Coast, the Berbers,
yes,
right, and the Amazigh people. You ever seen pictures of those people?
No,
they're like Europeans. They're like Europeans.
Really?
They're unbelievable. Yeah, incredible.
Well,
Blonde hair, but sort of tanned skins, piercing blue eyes. Some of them grey and green eyes in Africa. Yeah, absolutely.
yes,
It's all there's just been
Amazon
overlap
tribes.
and muddying of the waters, as it were. Or should I say
Yes.
that was probably hostile? I don't mean it, but it's just And the Ethiopians say they've got the original scriptures of the Bible. They may well have, I guess. There's a very good chance that because this thing was taken all over the place and just secreted, hid.
yes,
Held,
That's
all sorts of things
interesting.
like that. Listen, I looked up. I want to play you some cheesy piano music. Are you ready?
Yeah, just about.
I haven't even heard this myself. This is John Shuttleworth. You know John Shuttleworth?
No.
You will do in a minute. You will in a minute. Here we go. Let's just listen to what he has to say. It's it's from a few. You'll know. Here we go.
Margarines on the go. Two margarines on the go. It's a nightmare scenario. Two margarines in my life. Two margarines to put to my knife. Two margarines. How I long for the day.
There you go. Is that enough? Was that enough?
That's just about enough. Yes, I think I'm going to throw up any moment. Yes,
Two margarines. Anyway, yeah. John Shuttleworth. He you remember Jilted John?
Oh, I remember him.
In the
yes,
70s.
Yes.
I've
yes,
been
John
going
Shuttleworth.
out with a girl, her name is Sheila, or whatever it is. And last night she said to me, I love that song, it's great. Well, he's now John Shuttleworth. And he
Really?
goes around in this club and he plays this sort of Yorkshire fella like this. Yes, and he plays a Farfisa organ. He's the one that sang the song about peas.
Oh, yes.
That's
I know, yes. Now,
I can't go back to Savoury now. Do you remember that?
yes, I remember it, yes. But but Mike Mantis says here, Hancock's first book. So I'm trying to change the subject because I can't stand literally organs. Sorry.
And to play a bit
first book-
more. I know how to quieten you down now in the future.
Yes,
Turn that bloody thing off. Yeah. Yeah.
The Sign and the Seal was about Ethiopia and the Ark. So there we go. Yes.
Mhm.
But old Gallic Gorgeous said Johnny Dankworth. He was with
Yeah,
Cleo
and Cleo
wasn't
Lane.
he? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cleo Lane. Yes. And the
Yeah, I
saxophone.
didn't like that. I don't like jazz like that. No, I'd never. No.
Well, I don't like jazz that sounds like a seagull being throttled. So, So,
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't like it
And
either.
about George
Particularly, I've got
Smelly.
genuine seagulls. I get George Smelly. Nah, I didn't like him either. I couldn't stand
well,
all that
he was
stuff.
weird, very weird.
Well, he was a bit of a perv, wasn't he? He was a bit of a perv, I think.
He invented pervism before him. There wasn't no such thing as pervs. I think he invented it, But he
Did
was
he?
very much a perv, yes.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Yeah, my dad didn't
back in
like
the
him.
day.
I didn't know why, because my dad never explained, because I was only 10 at the time, and thankfully he didn't, I didn't want him to corrupt my soul. But later on, of course, you discover these sordid, foul facts. But yes, so
Yes.
George
that's
Melly.
right. George Melly. And I can never understand what the interest was in George Melly. talent did he have? Not much. He was just a fat slob that, I don't know, had a disgusting
Was he?
lifestyle.
Yeah, well, he probably was. Yeah.
You know, it was, no, I don't know, something, because apparently him and his wife, they had separate affairs, and they just accepted it, had an open relationship or something. All very mucky and yucky and whatever. Now it says here, Mark Malice says, George Melly, Roger's brother.
Yeah.
Eh?
Roger Melly, the man on the telly from Viz comic.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And back to the ancient dooflops, what we learned is every temple had an ark. Interesting. And why was Germany, under Mr. H, so interested in Ethiopia? That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because he believed the true Aryan race came from there, didn't he?
Well, yeah. Well, you've got Iran now. I know that's a recent name for Persia, isn't it? What was Persia?
That's right.
But if you look at the makeup of some of those people, they've definitely got what we would call European features. Some of them.
There's another tribe, isn't there? Now, what are they?
There's much muddlement up and down the line.
Andalusia.
You see.
I think, is it Andalusians? They have a DNA which is totally different. They're not that tall, but they're very stocky and they're bloody tough. And they really are tough people. And I think it's Andalusians in part of Spain, Andalusia, and they speak their own language. And they have their own DNA which is totally different to the Europeans. It's like Switzerland. Swiss have a different DNA as well. It's Ashkenazi. The Swiss actually originally come from Ukraine. They don't, and also Sicily as well. They're Ashkenazi as well. But
it's a right old mess, isn't it? You can't make head and tail of it, really.
Yes. Now, Andre Melly, his sister.
Oh.
Never heard of Andre Melly. Smelly Melly. No. Now, Lowland 1 says, my Yorkshire auntie didn't like Cleo Lane either. She used to say, I'm not been to Arsenal to ear. I'm not been... Can you read... You're a Yorkshireman, can you understand that?
My Yorkshire auntie didn't like Cleo Lane either. She used to say, I'm not bound to Arsenal. No, I can't get that. I'm not barn. No, I don't get it. I'm thick. Sorry, Lowland. Can't sort of scan it.
Now, Warhead Rex says Basques, that's another lot. Andalusians are not from Spain. I'm terribly sorry I got that wrong. It's the Basques. Basques are the Paleo-Euros, pre-Aryan. Yeah, and they're tough guys as well. Very interesting. Yes. Andalusians are. What am I talking about? I'm a bit tired. Andalusians are from Spain. Of course they are. It's Andalusia is around there, isn't it? You've got the Basques.
Andalusia, yes.
That's right. It's like the English are very separate from the Welsh and the Scottish. And apparently our DNA is different, the English. And this Cornish DNA is the same as the English DNA, apparently. There's no difference. They've looked into it. So this Cornish are English. So that's rather
I guess. I guess. I'm certainly never ever going to get a DNA test because I don't trust the DNA testing companies, what they're going to do with my... I don't want them to know. Just don't trust them. I just don't want to know. Thank you very much.
Yes, the Gauls. Goths and things. But
the Gauls, of course, give the Gauls is the root of the word Galilee.
Really?
Yeah. So Christ is known as the man from Galilee. It means Lee of the Gauls.
Really?
So they're Galileans, and it was to do with Nebuchadnezzar. You've got to get that in there. Nebuchadnezzar. It was a big area used for slaves. They ran out of them, so he restocked the place with Gauls. Not necessarily
Well,
from
well.
France, because the Gauls were all through that thing. They were, they were one tribe in France as well. So it spread all along that region, whatever I mean by that region, but it did. And so there you go. So it turns out that Jesus was probably French.
He probably, and I'll tell you something else. There's a place down the south of France where archaeologists have found evidence that English tribes and all the tribes used to meet and trade with each other. And this idea that they're all warlike is crap. They didn't. They traded. And, swapped ideas and things like that. So, now, hang on. Alan Wilson is my Welsh hero.
Yeah, he's a good bloke. He was a great guy.
Good bloke. Yes, I'm so sad to hear that because he applied a different logic to archaeology, didn't he? He did a.
Well, he wasn't an archaeologist. I think it was that he had. Yeah. When he talked about it, I mean, he was working on these big projects. He had a lot of time, and he just started tunneling into Arthur. I think to start off with, I've got all the Arthurian books by him here on my bookshelf. I've got 3 of them, big ones. Yeah, I've got to get around to reading them. Yeah, Arthur.
But, now, some say Jesus came from Lindisfarne. Wow, that's a nice word, Lindisfarne. Remember the group Lindisfarne, Lady Eleanor? One of my favourite records. It's all right, Lady Eleanor, Lindisfarne.
Well, much of the teachings of Christ completely coincide with, if that's the right word, the druidic thing. This is why when the apostles came to Glastonbury, and set up the first sort of post-crucifixion meeting place, they were not rejected by the Druids at all. They were completely... they were almost like the fulfillment of the Druidic teachings over hundreds of years. So there's a lot of little puzzles and mysteries about this island, which, there are.
Why didn't the Romans ever go to Ireland? Did they get to Ireland?
No, I heard a story or read one years ago. You see, I've not made notes of these things. It's really ridiculous. And because you can't be bothered, you're ploughing onto the next page, aren't you? Where Caesar was taken to Ireland by the Long Kings or whatever they would have been called at the time, and taken to a place where they showed him something and said, "You can never come here." And he did, and so they never did. They never did.
What exactly? The mind boggles. What did they show him? Did they wear kilts and lift their kilts?
I don't know. I think some ancient relic or artifact or something connected with something. Ireland's got these wonderful tales, fairies and all this kind of stuff. And like we've said before,
the same as Iceland. Exactly the same as Iceland, which is about 1,000 miles or something. No, it's a long way away from Ireland.
Yeah, but they're on the periphery, aren't they? They're sort of like islands off the main block of the European continent, as it were. So, yeah, Iceland's very interesting. Iceland is supposed to be the resting place of the tribe of Benjamin, which was the smallest of all the tribes. And do you know that up until the 1940s, Iceland had the highest literacy rate in the world by miles?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. We're so bleeding dark there and miserable. That's all they have to do is read, isn't it?
It's a bit like me being a kid in Yorkshire. Yeah. Get them candles on. Read that book. All right. Sorry, I don't know why I'm going extremely northern. I haven't taken my southern tablets today.
In the summer, you only get half hour of darkness. The sun goes down. Half hour later, it comes up. So it can be about 11:30 at night, and it's still light. Then in the winter, you get about the same back. You get about a couple of hours light, and that's it. It's dark again. I mean, that is bloody awful. I don't know anybody could live there. Sounds.
Yeah, DJ B2 writes the grave of Princess Scotia could be. So yeah, Egyptian princess called Scotia lends her name to Scotland. That's where it comes from. Scotland.
Aye. And also, they reckon that this idea that the Vikings, which I'm part Viking apparently, didn't rape and pillage. They actually came along and they kind of traded with a lot of the shoreline people, and rogue ones did rape and pillage, but not generally. They generally traded, because I know that there's one lot that came ashore, and the leader of them shouted, "Okay, so rape all the men and kill all the women." And one of the other arguing said, and you got that the wrong way round. He said, you play it your way, Ducky, I play it mine. Sorry.
I'm so glad I don't have a webcam right now because you should see the look of disgust on my face.
Now we got here Archmo say bro. Oh yeah. Well, anyway, Washington, Tyne and Weir. Wonder where they got the name from. Strange.
I don't know.
Tyne and Weir.
Well, no. Washington is Washington, isn't there? There's loads of Washingtons. I mean, were towns designated for doing all your washing in or something at some point? Maybe a big. Well,
where are they?
You had to maybe. Yeah.
Most things are Brox because it's named after the badgers. It's very famous badgers around where I live.
All right, okay.
Mind you, most of them have been run over, but I mean, but yes, it's Brox, and it's very oldie worldy. They got Roman remains and everything around here. But the strange thing about the Romans, so they one of them did go to Ireland. They lifted up their kilts. He said, "Sod that," and they all went back again. So up the Khyber Pass, that was historically accurate in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see up the Khyber Pass with the Belchers? That was the first Belcher regiment. So.
Is there a Carry On film called Carry On Up the Khyber?
Yeah, it's called Carry On Up the Khyber, yeah. And it's filmed in Wales, and a very, 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 very tight budget. And they had every bloody corny gag you could have to. Yeah, they had the burpers in it. Yes,
the burpers.
The burpers. And also, it wasn't a sporran; it was a dangler. Where's my dangler? It's a sporran. That was a dangler.
A dangler. Yeah. There's Kenneth Williams in it. He's just...
it's a classic. And Sid James, he was marvellous in it. What is it? Rough Diamonds. It's a rough diamond he was, yeah. But you can't get that team together again. They were just a one-off, weren't they? You know?
Well, they're also not alive, most of them, are they? If any of them are alive now, I suppose.
I don't think any of them. I think there's only one that's still alive now. I think the rest of them are all gone. But now, truth over lies says Iceland is being culturally enriched, apparently. The last place you'd think regarding that. Really? Is this being culturally enriched?
Well, I think that everywhere will be in relation to the degree of mental disease that struck so many of our people, or that they've been conditioned into.
Again, Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. This is what we've got ruling us. Stupid people. Very, very stupid people. But
I mean, if they could come up with an aerosol called Stupid Gone or something like that, and you could spray people with it, that's what we want. I just need something convenient. Stupid Gone. Surrounded by stupid people, spray them with this. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, we used to go and see my brother-in-law and sister, and it was bleeding like that. So I actually had this spray can I put on the side, party atmosphere, and just sort of sprayed it around.
Yes.
Nice. That's good.
Yes, but no, Jim Dowell, he's still alive, isn't he? Yep, he's alive and kicking. I think he's the last one. I don't think there's any of them left. Oh, hang on. I think the Pretty Girls are still alive, but they were on the later Carry On films. What's her name now? There are a few of the women that are still alive, I think. But yes, but.
Has anything serious happened in the world over the last few days? Because if it has, I wouldn't know about it. Anything pointlessly important and incredibly distracting that we should all be scared about?
Yes, apparently Bojo and Epstein and what's her name? Who's that tart? The Daily Mirror's the Daily Mirror's daughter, what's her name? Gwenine, or whatever bleeding name is.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
And her as well. They had a threesome in number 10, allegedly. apparently from the Epstein files.
I'm surprised they can count that high, but still, all right.
But it's put me off. It's put me off my sausages though. That thought of Bojo and Ghislaine.
Well, don't think about it. Quickly move on. You got to watch it with this stuff. It leaves an indelible stamp on the mind, and you'll never recover with all this stuff.
And apparently, because you remember, there used to be telephones in this country called STD, didn't they? It was Standard Telephone
Directory or something.
Dial.
All right,
Standard Telephone.
Okay,
dial.
yeah.
Yes, and apparently, Bill Gates had that form of telephone installed. I'm a very innocent person, and his wife got it as well. Oh, sorry, STD. Yes, that's what he had. No, he caught it from a Russian prostitute and passed it on to his wife. So there we go.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's all great stuff, isn't it? Really.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I just emotionally, nothing happens with me with all this stuff now. I'm just too busy ironing my underwear on a morning and getting on with life, really, as best I possibly can. It seems awfully mad, but
I couldn't care less
I do
about
feel like
really.
a hobbit in a little hole. I need my vegetable patch and things like this to bugger it all, really. I mean, it's just, why would you want to spend time living with loonies? It is, when you stand back, the more you look at it, you think, this really is a lunatic asylum. It really
it's grotesque,
is.
Isn't it? I mean, let's face it.
How loony am I? It's got to rub off on you. That's the problem.
Well, I was saying earlier about the Jeremy Thorpe case. Now, what normal person, after everything came out about Jeremy Thorpe, could go around raising his trilby and saying, "Hello, how are you? Marvellous." You'd be so embarrassed that you wouldn't do a thing, get up to the antics that those people got up to. But the fact is, they show no embarrassment. They don't seem to have any embarrassment at all. I just don't get it. I mean, the only person who did show some form of embarrassment was the chap in the Christine Keeler affair, Portillo. Portillo did show embarrassment, and he actually worked down at Toynbee Hall with the poor, and he gave free legal advice to them and helped them and got buildings built.
He did great. He really did a lot after his life. Yeah, he
nice
did.
Guy.
Yeah, he did.
He was a bloody good bloke, and everybody in the East End spoke well of him. And they reckon that he used to roll up his sleeves and do the washing up in the back of the hall and muck in like everybody else, clean out lavies and things like that. Wasn't above him. And I think he fell from grace, and he was a genuine man. And
he made an error. He was probably set up or made an error or whatever. It happens. I don't know what to say. It's just tricky. It's always been sort of out of whack up there, the great and the not so good and the not so great either. But now it's tawdry, isn't it? So the question is, how much more tawdry can it get? Probably
I don't know,
a bit more yet.
I knew an architect that knew him. And I knew somebody that knew Toynbee Hall and also knew him. So I knew two people, and they both praised him. And this architect who I knew, he worked on a project that Perfumo sort of was heading. And whenever Perfumo tried to hail a taxi, the taxi drivers wouldn't stop for him. That's how they were in those days. And he said what they used to do is Perfumo used to hide around the corner. This architect I knew, hailed the taxi for him. When the taxi stopped, he'd open the door and Perfumo would just jump straight in, and that was it. That's how they did it. Yeah, but then of course you've got Lord Lucan. That was an interesting one. And they reckon there's a detective reckons he went to Africa. And I wonder if any of these people on the Epstein file will do a Lord Lucan and just completely disappear. It's going to be interesting.
I don't know. There's obviously some. Well, there isn't, and nothing's obvious, I suppose. What it looks like is that as the level of moral behaviour plummets at an ever accelerating rate, which it is, it's almost everybody just gets this is the really scary thing. You don't really get accustomed to it. It's not the right word. You become sort of. You can't deal with it all the time. What are you supposed to do with this stuff? There are 7 billion people on the planet. Most of them are not that bright. Sometimes you are in those. You've been in that number. I have, right? Like stupid, and you're trying to. Yeah. We're all a bit. It's an amazing thing. You sort of arrive here, and we're all a bit thick, frankly. Honestly, I think we've created computers and everything. Well, yeah, okay, fine, but it's taken an awful long time, hasn't it? And not that I'm denigrating the efforts of amazing people, men and women throughout history. I mean, I think it is fantastic, and it cheers you up somewhat to think that every now and again, little geniuses or even big ones pop up and do great stuff. It's just, overall, the behaviour levels are not that great, and here we are, supposedly in a first world country, but I guess maybe you always gripe about the things that are the worst parts of your life, and it doesn't matter what level you're at. You always want to keep moving up, whatever that might mean. Becoming more conscious possibly is one way of describing it, or being more responsible, or being more satisfied. Which is an interesting word, isn't it? Satisfaction, because it only lasts for a few days. Or something. Well, it does, and then something comes. Your washing goes wrong, or something. You're packed off with something else. I think stoicism is absolutely the way to go. You've got to be sort of phlegmatic about these things, because there's just going to be a lot of stuff in your life. It's just at the moment it seems to be systemic. Well, it is. We know what it is.
These people they should not show any respect to government, and as I've said, ignore them out of existence. Oh, you want tax, do you? Sod off. That's basically all it should be. We should tell them to clear off. And that's
I agree with you. I think there's two things. I can think of sort of two paths that we have to go down, as it were. That's one of them, or two hats to wear. There's definitely that hat to wear, but the other one, the one that's more exciting to me personally, is trying to get in touch with and develop conversations more fully and have them more frequently about describing the way that we do want to live, not just even as a desire, but to begin to put it into action.
I agree.
There's something about when you act, it has an effect. It really has an effect. And a bit like if I was to play the bagpipes in your house, it would really have an effect, wouldn't it? It wouldn't go down well, but it would have an effect. So I can talk to you about, we can talk about playing the Farfisa keyboard, and it's quite funny when you're talking about it. But if somebody actually starts doing it round you, it's not funny anymore, because you really don't like it, right? So actions really do make, I know it's sort of stating the bleeding obvious, but they do. And even this, because to act, you're actually being creative, even if it's just tidying up. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last sort of few days.
Action creates a reaction.
Yeah, or like any plan that you have to do a thing and you follow it through, no matter how simple or how later on you're going to denigrate it and say, oh, it was only this or it was only that. The fact is, whilst you're in that mode, you're actually being constructive, and it gives you a much better sense of having some kind of meaningful function in your life. Yeah, right. Even just tidying things up or doing stuff. Yeah, I get quite chuffed about it. I'm going, wow, this is, so it's not about the external result in a way, although it is, but it's about what's happening to you internally whilst you're acting on something. And I think that's it. And of course, recently with the arrival of this technology over the last 15, 20 years in particular, a lot less people, I bet, on a graph, people are physically moving less. They're not interacting with as many people in real life as they used to. They're not going out as much. They're not doing things. They're not literally moving their body about as much. I mean, I could be bonkers with this stuff, but I sense maybe it's just me. I go walking as often as I can. The weather the last few days has just been dire, so I can't be bothered. But as long as it's not absolutely awful, I'll go out. But it has been absolutely awful the last couple of days. I just forget it. But it's that. It's just a sense of movement through life, acting, doing things. It's very good for you.
An action creates a reaction.
It's really good for yeah, it is.
That's right. And a positive action creates, I think, a positive a positive
so reaction. We've got a lot of tidying up to do, haven't we? Don't you think we've got a lot of tidying up to do? If you look around, well, you go, there's a lot of it's a right old bloody mess. We know who's caused it. Yeah.
We've got Jeremy
so what we
got Fred.
Yeah, we can't just tidy it up and let them carry on operating, because they're just going to mess it up even further. That's the problem.
Right.
What's that thing about baths? So, and it's the same with the sort of so-called migration problem. If your bath's overflowing, you don't go in and start mopping it up. First thing you do is you turn the tap off, right? Well, we've got to start turning that tap off in some way.
I
it's
agree
not just
with you.
In that area,
and not let their demonic crap take us over, because like attracts like, and the more they depress us, the more they control us. If
I'm
someone
not depressed,
upsets
Eric.
you-
I don't think.
No.
I don't think we're really.
That's right.
I mean, I can get sort of inert, and I know it's because I'm not doing anything. And I know, and I'm beginning to now think that people that are really, I used to be quite suspicious about people that was just almost like on autopilot from being active. But in a way, it's good for, I hate saying mental health. It's just good for your attitude. I prefer that word, right? Your attitude is better. And, if you think about when you were younger and you were full of physical beans, literally, and you're jumping around everywhere, all over the place, although, you go through the adolescent bit like I'm bored and all that, like we do, because, what you used to do up to a certain point is just it's not doing it for you anymore because you're physically bigger and stronger. You've got to keep pushing yourself. It's good. It's really, really good. We've got a lot of pushing of one another to do. That's what I'm saying. We've got an awful lot of pushing of one another to do.
We've got to sort of do, I think we've got to be a little bit like the Amish, where you just, the Amish, they're totally separate from the rest of American sort of civilization as such. They live their own lives. What happens in government and things like that, I don't think I could be wrong if Patrick might be able to correct me on this, but I don't think any Amish served in Vietnam. I don't think they were conscripted. They're exempt.
No, they've got a very high. They've got a very high birth rate, very large families, and they've got a place to do it in. You see, they've got a place. Don't they have land that they stand upon and have been stood upon for decades, if not hundreds of years.
That's right.
Building this energy field around them so that you know who they are, just like this nation used to have. It really did.
I
And
admire
many
them
of
a
us
lot.
can still remember it. Yeah.
And I think we've got to be a bit like the Amish. Build our. And I was listening to.
They're not aimless, the Amish, are they? The Amish are not aimless. They're not
They're
an
not
aimless
aimless,
Amish.
no.
They're not.
I was actually listening. It was the chap who used to have the BNP.
Nick Griffin?
Nick Griffin, thanks, mate. Nick Griffin, and he was saying in Northern Ireland, the Protestants are a minority. They were a minority, I think. And he said it's made them stronger. And they've got their own charity shops. They've got their own sort of groups that they are very loyal to. And he said it's totally different to the rest of Britain. Very different. And you've got the Catholics have got their own groups that help themselves and things like that. And away from, he didn't say what I'm about to say now, but apparently this mass immigration has got the Catholics and the Protestants together. Again, Nick Griffin didn't say this. It's what something else I found. Now, where they've been at sort of each other's throats for years, they're not, because they realise what's going on. They're both going to be replaced if they don't stop these governments from screwing things up, or the New World Order.
Well, we all are. I suppose, I like Aunt Sally, little comment here. She says, the thing is, when we were younger, we mostly thought the world was right and just. Now we know it's corrupt, and that is saddening, to be honest. I guess maybe every generation, Aunt Sally, just goes through a process where they grow up and they look around, they go, oh, God, it's not like I thought it was when I was a teenager. You remember how buoyant and wonderful everything was? And then I keep on thinking it was, actually, in retrospect. Although you go back to certain days, I'm grumbling like mad when I'm 17 or 14 or 15. There were things like that. But the general vibe of possibility existed, didn't it?
Yeah,
I think it did.
That's right. Well, it's optimistic. We lived in an optimistic world. The music was fantastic. Everything was way fashions. You think of all the trendy fashions you had in the 70s. It's great. What is different now in fashion? Nothing. It's just bland. Everything you buy is bland.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't suppose you and me are the target market of the fashion industry, really, to be quite honest. That's why we talk about things like waistcoats and large trousers and pocket watches and other fuddy-duddy stuff, which is really rather cool now. It's quite interesting to me and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're coming up to the end of the show, You've made 11 o'clock. It's outrageous.
Oh, yes, we're coming up to 11 o'clock. And by the way, Amish Investment is behind Warren Buffett. Now, was it? I tell my Dutch friends that Count von Count on Sesame Street was not Count Van Count. Count von was not Count von. No, I don't get that one. Sorry, mate. Perhaps I've missed something there.
Oh, it's because they're Dutch, and of course they're all Van this, aren't they? You see, it's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Matilda says Me too, Aunt Sally. Stay strong and positive. Times are changing. Yes, I think they've got to get worse before they get better. But again, we must not drain our energy of the crap they're pushing out on us.
Well, no matter what happens
I want
this
to make
year,
everybody
Eric,
happy.
Yeah.
I want to make the world a happy place. We've got to laugh at them. Spray the bastards with, what is it? Anti-stupidity spray. Psst, 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 psst. Get away,
Well, I think if we just get to building things amongst ourselves, and I think we are, I feel as though I'm doing my little bit at the moment. I want to do more. Do you sometimes sort of think about all the things that want doing and you want to do them all? And I get sort of, I do. I just want to sort of fix everything by next Monday.
Well,
right, we need to fix all the food. I need transport fixed, banking needs sorted out. I need that. I need the immigration thing. Can we get it done? Transportation systems are right. Can we have these energy devices, please? Yeah, I need those. Need good clothes coming back. I need nobody with tattoos anymore. Sorry if I've upset anybody. Hate this blue-haired stuff. No, not round here. So, yeah, I'd just be a dictator. I want to be Mayor Pratt, Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Like this chap in Hungary, what's his name now? The bloke who runs Hungary, he doesn't stand for any shit. He tells the EU what he thinks of them. And also, they have the cheapest gas and electricity in the whole of Europe. Why? Because they've ignored the EU and they're importing gas and electricity from Russia. Good for him. And
yeah, he is good. I think
Victor something or other, isn't it?
Orban,
yes. Thanks. And Aunt Sally said the fashion is to deface yourself. I agree with you there. What with tattoos, piercings, blue hair, or the other extreme of surgery, fillers, fake hair, and turkey teeth. Yes, you've only got to sit in Miles's shop and see what's walking past.
It's sad. It really is. I mean,
this is why we want to bring back this kind of idea, like a Victorian steampunk, and that is gentlemen dress like gentlemen and ladies dress like ladies, and of course bring back pocket watches, and things like that.
Is that the time? Yes,
the time. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, you can have a pocket watch convention. Everybody could go around asking everybody else what the time is to give them an excuse to whip their pocket watch out of their pocket and look at it. And that's what you would do. I mean, the thing with the sort of the appearance of people and stuff, there probably is a lot of deep forces at work that have brought this about that you're not noticing. One of them is the lack of, I think, a really binding, uplifting vision for the nation. There isn't one. And you're never going to get one from the political class because they don't have that. No. They're not the sort of people, they're actually not leaders, are they? They are bureaucratic manipulators and willing slaves of the real power behind the throne, as it were. And so we are governed, they're not even mediocre. They've got these are the intelligent idiots. They're intelligent in terms of playing this system. And they think that they're sort of admired for their speeches, but most of them can't even talk. I mean, really, Rupert Lowe can talk. I'll listen to him. He can talk because he's hitting more targets than things I don't agree with. But many of the others, you can see that they're effectively trying to please everybody. It's ridiculous. It's very, very silly. And I think in the absence, what happens is everything becomes about the content of your life as opposed to re-stressing the context. Now, of course, the idiot thing is that in times of national warfare, the whole country does come together. Yeah, because it has to. But you need that sort of thing. We need a vision. And there could be some amazing projects that this country could volunteer itself for, or like how about reforesting the deserts in the Middle East? How about doing that if you want to do that? You want to help those people out in that part of the world if they're in need of, I don't think they need any help. They've got gazillions from oil, haven't they, or something like that. Yeah. But there's so much good stuff that could be done. And so many people are standing on each other's toe, competing to sell insurance policies and all sorts of other crap that just doesn't need doing. That's where we're a bit dense.
Have it zero homelessness, where everybody's got a nice warm home. In Finland, there's no homeless. They've actually they've solved the problem, and I think that
and no homework.
And I'm not sure about Russia. No homework. That's right. I'm not sure about Russia. I don't think they have homeless either. I could be wrong. Anybody's been to Russia, but I don't think they have. They've solved the problem, and we solved the problem in the 1960s there were no homeless in Britain in the 1960s. They solved the homeless problem. Seriously. I
know it's our go-to thing, but it always bears fruit, that until the bank is destroyed in its current form, annihilated in its current form, we are not going to make any permanent fixings to anything. You might be able to for a generation, 20, 30 years or something. But people in it will, at the end of that little period, they'll know it's all beginning to nosedive back to this rotten situation. It's a virus is the current thing, and we've got to be the retrovirus. I think we're getting there. I really do. I mean, even if we're not, I just say to myself that we are. Cheers me up. It makes me work harder the next day. That's a good thing. I sleep better because of it, you know. I mean, I've had periods. Have you not had periods, Eric, where you've just got wound up by things? I have. I've been so wound up at times. And it took me years to realise that me getting angry and wound up did nothing.
I used to suffer from depression.
I used to think it was noble to be so outraged, and I still am. It's in there. But you got to redirect it.
That's right. But you look at pictures of the 60s, like films. There's a film someone took in London in 1967, and people looked happy. They really did look happy. And I think what we got to address is the food that we're being fed, because 90% apparently of what is being sold as food didn't exist 100 years ago. And you look at the amount of people that are, I think it's causing insanity. It's causing, and also what they're injecting children with now, with all kinds of terrible. I mean, when a child is born, the amount of crap they put into them is unbelievable. That must be affecting their brains. And this is why you got ding-dongs that think they're dogs or lampshades or bloody hell, whatever it is they want to be, you know. And Sally says, unfortunately, a lot of our homeless are druggies. The people I worry about are families living in rabbit hutches or shared accommodation or a fancy shed in their parents' garden. Yes, you're right. And I think everybody should have a decent home. And that was something they were pushing in the 60s and 50s. People will have a decent home. And there was the Parker Morris standards, where the new towns, they had to have a big garden, they had to have space for a pram, they had to have airy houses, and it had to be like a village. And I think they got that right. I mean, Letchworth was the first garden city, one of the first, and that was in 1907. But then when you look at after the war, they had Harlow, Stevenage. They all were built to the Parker Morris standards, and then they ripped up the Parker Morris standards and just crammed more and more and more people in, which they've created ghettos, as far as I'm concerned. This country now is just full of little ghettos, you know. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the main ghetto, I suppose, is in people's heads, really.
Yeah.
All of these sort of narratives, these unexamined narratives that have taken up residence in people's heads. Like, if you stand up for your own people, if you're a white person, you're a racist. Okay. How's that work? Well, it doesn't have to work. You can't even people that have already fallen into that, you can't explain it to them. You couldn't educate them in a communication out of it. It wouldn't be possible. Some of them are so far gone. I think, sorry.
I know what you mean, because my attitude is I respect all races. I respect people's race. And I think that what's happening is very racist in this country by denying the third world of nurses and doctors. These people in those countries need nurses and doctors, and I believe everybody should be where they want to be, not because they're financially pushed to be. And it's everything now is just an agenda.
The seed grows best where it falls.
Yeah,
this is true of everybody, and I think I'm sure we mentioned it here before. I think the expenditure that is 500 billion a year here to look after whatever you want to call all these people that are coming in. 500 billion, right? It's quite a lot of money, right? So what you do is you say, okay, it's going to cost us that. So what we do is we'll put that 500 billion back in your home source countries where you've come from. You go back there, you can have it.
You wouldn't need to. No, you wouldn't need anything compulsory. You'd have rubber boats going the opposite way. People wanted to go back because it would be worth their while to go there. They come here because there's no work for them. They live in absolute dire poverty. You can't blame them. You and I would do the same. So really, it's
different for us though, Eric. I mean, I can't sort of take that thought on board. It's not that what you're saying is not accurate. It's just that for me, it's impossible. I don't come from those places. I don't have their life experience. I'm not built that way. I'm built this way. You're built your way. You know, your environment, everything that you've grown up with, everything that we talk about, you know, clothing, culture, the history of music, the history of shitty buildings, the history of brilliant, beautiful buildings and why there aren't enough of them. All of these things have molded the way that we are, the way that we see the world and the way that we want to live our life. They've got different experiences, really. And it's, you see, the lie is, if you take someone from a poor condition and stick them in a rich country and give them a job, it's going to work out great. It won't. For a few, it will, and they will be held up as the high tide watermark. And they all races have got their exceptional people. They've got their people that make up the middle ground in the masses. I'm probably in that, right? Realistically, you know, you're always trying to sort of improve yourself, and you've got people that are born into poverty or a very poor condition. The people that can help those people the best, just like us, are their own people. Why? Because they understand the whoop and woof of their own people, just like you do. Like, you know, when you're being insulted by an Englishman or what, you know it. It's very subtle. It's part of the riches of it. You know when you're being tacitly approved of, or what, all these things that go off that make life this permanent sort of engagement, keeping your attention going and make it wonderful and sometimes not so wonderful. It's got all of these things in. So, you know, what is the goal of all this? The implied goal, it appears to be, that's never spoken, is we want to help these people. Okay, no one's against that. What we're against is how it's being achieved. And the way it's being done is not, therefore, reveals the true agenda, which is not to help these people. It's to use these people as a proxy destructive force in places where they're not suited to be, ultimately. And it's not that I wouldn't get on with them. I'm in an argument with anybody much in life, to be quite honest. You know, we're so accommodating. A big problem we have, I think, is that we just think everybody's like us. They're not. They're not.
Well, that's it.
You know.
I mean, I work with an Indian chap who written.
Why would they be? Why should they be? They just shouldn't be like us. It's ridiculous.
That's right. I mean, I work with an Indian chap who believed that the British Empire absolutely freed the Indian people of slavery. He actually believed that. He said that before the British arrived, he said we were slaves to these massive, these sort of like, he reckons they were like the mafia, you know, and
moguls
and things. And
they were. We did. Look, the empire did some bad things. Of that, there's no doubt. The sort of commercial arm of it, and the East India Company did very well. Thank you very much. But they also did some amazing things. I mean, I was talking that thing about the headhunters of Borneo. You ever heard of them?
Yes.
I mean, it's just absolutely mad. And it's in the late 1700s. These guys were basically chopping each other's heads off and wearing them on top of their own head, killing twins at birth by sticking them in pots and letting them just die. I mean, the thing's sick. You just look at it, you go, this is my... one of you people, I ain't letting you do that. I mean, I'm just not letting you do that. So the British went in, you're not doing this. And, of course, they met with a lot of resistance, but they sent a frigate up there and just completely stopped it. Totally. Now you go to that part of the world, they're all in coffee shops, you know, having their cheeseburgers with a coffee, a latte, looking at their iPhones. Right, no matter what you might want to say, there's a lot of damage about that as well. But at least they're not behaving at such a gruesome level. I mean, some of the reports that you get from the British military going into Africa, there's one town they're going to, you can't believe it. I read this from this, it's about 1880 odd. It's sick, right? Animals don't behave like that. What is going on? So, and why do we feel this compulsion to correct it? We do. But you don't correct it by inviting people to come and live with you. You won't do that. It's like if I knocked on your... Eric, there's a family down the road. I'm forcing them to live in your house with you. What?
Yeah.
Well, don't I have a say in this? No, you love everybody. We're telling you that you love everybody. And if you resist that, you're a racist fascist. You know... This is war because you're not being consulted. And you will never be consulted because they know what you're going to say, because you're a normal guy. You know, you just go, that's wrong. But if they need help, can't we organise it in a different way, please?
That's right.
That conversation's not held, is it? It's just not held.
That's right. Well, Rex Warhol, Ed Rex said the headhunters that ate Michael Rockefeller. Yes, that was in Papua New Guinea. Yes, he went missing, and they reckon that he was eaten. But there's a very strange film made in 1969, which was about 8 or so years after he went missing, and it shows you these headhunter types going along, and they got a stitch of clothing on, and there's one white bloke amongst them. And they reckon that could have been Michael Rockefeller. Might have been.
Right.
He might have survived, because they haven't got total proof that he was eaten. So it's still a bit iffy. So it's a bit of a mystery what happened to him. But they're the biggest search you could ever wish to think of with Michael Rockefeller. And they reckon he might have just gone native. Who knows? There's, but and
there's so many. Don't you think there are so many amazing films that could be made that are not? That are just not being made. Like, I tell you, a really interesting one would be the War of 1812 to 1815 in North America, when America was invading Canada and the British went over there. All this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Nothing is straight up. It's not all goodies and baddies. It's all to do with other stuff. And in nearly every case, none of these things would be possible without banks. Is there such a thing as a just war? I guess there must be. I mean, I'm not for it.
That's right.
But there might be. If someone gets completely out of order in the tribe up the road, you go, well, we could try and talk to him. But last guy that did that, he chopped his head off. So I don't fancy giving that a crack. What do you think? Let's fight. Yeah, that's it, really. That's what's happened, hasn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, you've only got to look at that book. Was it Scalp Dance? Was it Scalp Dance? Scalp?
Yeah.
Now, we see these Indian films like Dances with Wolves, A Man Called Horse. What a load of claptrap. They were savages. They were the most violent people ever. They did the most savage things to each tribe. And we civilized them. We stopped them doing
before
that.
we even got there. Before they got there. And you could say, well, it's their place. It was massive. This is I don't know what you're supposed to say about this kind of stuff. I mean, England's really strange in a way. If you look, because the size of it.
Yeah.
It's big enough for me, but it's small. And I think its smallness, similar to Japan, we've got a lot in common with the Japanese, actually. I mean, culturally, no. But in terms of orientation, we do. We're islands off the main landmass, right? So that's the first thing. And we're water-based people, so they eat a lot of fish, don't they? And we eat fish and chips all the time. I don't mean silly. But boats are a big deal. And if you think about the advantages that gave us, which are never taught at school, they're considerable. They're really huge, There's something that's overlooked.
In French Indochina, which later was named Vietnam, after 1945, there was the communists coming down from the north. And we did not have an army as such that was big enough to stop the communists coming down. So what they did, there was loads of Japanese prisoners of war there. They had a deal, and they gave the weapons back to the Japanese POWs, and they with British officers, fought the North Vietnamese, and we was within about 3 weeks of beating them totally. And they reckoned that the Japanese and the British got on so well together. They did it. They did an incredible job. They really did get on well, and so much so that the communists wonder what the bloody hell had hit them. They really, because
I didn't know that, but I'm not kind of surprised because of the small scale of. I mean, it's funny. I never used to think about these sorts of things, but you just think about your physical circumstances. So, like in England. Obviously, we know here in these islands, and Scotland as well, and Wales, these islands, you get the Industrial Revolution. And there are all sorts of... It kind of makes sense in a way, because fastest thing on Earth at that time's a horse. and a cart, right? Nothing quicker than that. You can't go any faster than that. There's no cars. There's no trains yet. There's no planes. There's nothing. That's it. But we've got boats. We've got barges. So if you're in Russia and you want to move stuff around, or in the mainland Europe, you've got to get a horse and a cart. That's it, right? And horses cost quite a lot. You've got to feed them every 30 miles and stuff like this. So it's going to move at the whole speed of that system. Whereas over here, you've got coal up in Newcastle. You stick it on a barge, you float it down the water, and it's in London in 2 days. It don't cost out. So the use of the water, it's the same with the Dutch. You see, the reason why the Dutch, they're on the water, they get going. So water people have been able to get out and about a bit quicker because of the technology of the day, and it's just increased things. And I also think the lines of communication over here are geographically shorter, because they are. It's so you've
but
got,
we've got an inventive mind. We've got a different mind. This is why the Industrial Revolution took off here.
So the environment has caused it. You've got to you've got to be more civilized, because we've lived more cheek by jowl than if you're a Russian guy on the steppe. Your nearest neighbour's 85 miles away or something, right? But, in England, he's 8 yards away, right? I mean, it's just it's stuff like this.
I agree,
yeah.
But I'll tell you something. Do you know it's 11:20? And
better go to bed.
We got to go to bed because I've got to go up in the morning because I've got a chicken in my slow cooker that's cooking away like anything. And
it's really funny. This I've no idea why we're still talking. What's going on?
I don't know.
It's mad.
I don't know. Oh, well, it's nice, isn't it? Anyway, it's been a fantastic night, and you've done a very good impersonation of Ben. So that's pretty good. Do you think the audience have found out it's not Ben? I don't know. I think that's pretty good, He's
a good guy, isn't he? I like it when you have him on. He's good.
He's terrific.
There's some, and people have mentioned guests here, haven't they? And I want to get lots of people on and talk. It's really fun talking to different people. Not that I don't like talking to you, Eric. I do, and all that kind of stuff. But there's so many other people to bring through the space, and it's good to talk, isn't it? So it is.
I'm a talkaholic. I was known as Christopher Chataway when I was a kid because I used to yap so much. But there's a certain show coming up on Thursday. Can you tell us about this, Paul, by any chance?
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely marvellous. There's going to have dancing girls, there's going to be juggling acts, and someone's going to make a seal disappear. So we're all looking forward to it.
Excellent.
I'm looking for a guest. Hopefully it should. Well, I've got to live up to the image because I've got the show image already. And we're going to look at midwives and witches. How about that?
Very interesting. And by the way, no smart.
Yeah, I mean to send you the book. You'll never read it in time. Yeah, I've got this book to read. I'll never have it all read by Thursday. It's a couple of 100 pages, but I haven't got enough time to get through it. But
please, I'd be interested in reading it through because
I'll fire it over.
I think it's one of these things. Will you be getting a lady on to talk about it?
There is a lady I have in mind, but she might not be available. She mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago, and she is a midwife, and she said, you need to read this book. So I did. Well, I haven't done, of course. I got hold of it. But it's intriguing. We've talked about the wise women of the village, haven't we? And all this knowledge that has been lost. And the church has not played a particularly good role in this. It's not so much that it's a church, it's that wherever there's power structures and stuff to be acquired with skullduggery, it takes place. It takes place. Anyway, let's leave that until Thursday. I'll send you the document.
Thursday, 8 o'clock.
And if any ladies out there are midwives or witches, please call in or let us know. Seriously, let's get on to
I do know a lady who is a witch who might want to come on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, try and find out. It'd be fantastic because the word itself is probably completely misunderstood. It's got a big impact on the way that the National Health Service works today. Look at the relationships between male doctors who are in charge and the women that have been pushed to one side, right? As like, you've got to be obedient to the scientist type. And all this natural knowledge about herbs and food and stuff, we don't need to know about that. Well, we do need to know about that because nature's furnished us with a solution to everything, and it used to be known. It used to be known, and we want it back.
Something else. Why are gynecologists normally men? And also, the other thing is in Chinese medicine, you don't have to examine you. You don't have to strip off anything. They can tell by your tongue, eyes, just look at your body and things like that. I actually do believe the NHS has quite a few, shall we say, unsavoury characters in it. Now, Aunt Sally says, I will be late on Thursday. Note from parents, please. But look forward to watching you both. Well, that's fantastic.
Do you think she's going to a witch's coven? Are you going to a witch's coven, Aunt Sally?
Well,
that's why she's going to be late. She's turning someone into a newt. That's what she's doing.
Well,
she's going to turn someone into a newt.
Opposite Miles' shop is a place called White Witch, which is a shop which sells all kind of witchcraft stuff. And seriously, and it's.
Did you want to be a wizard when you were a kid?
Well, no, I went in there and I said I want to join a coven of Bale witches, and a woman in there said warlocks. I said no, it's true. So
I'm going to a dance class. Well, dance somewhere like Billy. Have a wonderful time.
Yes, but that's an old joke. That's a.
Okay, I'm going to go. My knees are cold, and this has been great.
It's fantastic.
And I've stayed way past my bedtime. Outrageous.
That's right. And whatever happens, stick the old thumb up. Consider subscribing. And whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.